right, we're going to call this meeting to order of the Amador County Board of Supervisors for August 11th, 2026. The board met in closed session. Item 1, direction was given. And item 2, the confidential minutes were approved as presented. We're going to open the regular session here at 9:02. Would you please stand and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Right up are public matters not on the agenda. These are discussion items only, no action be taken. Any person may address the board within the subject of the Board of Supervisors. However, any matter that requires action may be referred to a committee for a report and recommendation for possible action at a subsequent board meeting. Please note there's a 3-minute limit. When you come to the podium, if you'd state your name because the meeting is being recorded and there's a sign-in sheet. So, do we have any public comments? Not on the agenda. Here we go. Good morning. Either one, you can pull that one down if you're more, yeah.
Good morning. My name's Becky Jerrigy. I live on Meadow Vista Drive in Pioneer, and we were here on July 14th. I'm here with a group of our neighbors following up on the discussion that we had about code enforcement. And it was our understanding and that would be on the agenda soon, but it hasn't been as far as the changes to make it streamlined. So what's happening? That's what we want to know.
Well, it's been kind of my project on that. It's still in the planning departments to get the ordinance changed, so that's what they're working on. But to add into your situation, code enforcement is working and has sent letters out to the individuals for both the vehicles and the trash around the house. So they're working on that, too. But of course, it's time. Times are working.
Well, we know that, and that's one situation, but we're talking, because this is for all of Amador County? Not just Meadow Vista.
It's not yours, but yours is the one that's starting it.
Exactly, because the rats are prolific. In fact, my neighbor just told me, she lives next door, and that at 4 in the morning, the owner was out shooting the rats in the yard, right by her property line. So it's urgent, and so it goes through plan. What is the process, I guess, is what we want to know. They're
searching for, ordinances and, a little copywriting here, trying to find out what's the best, way of making sure it'll go through that, and then it'll come up to a county council and verify everything. So it's running through the course right now.
Okay, is there anything we can do in addition to what we've done to
It's just staff time to get it running.
Okay. All right, well, we'll be back.
I know you will.
All right, okay.
Look forward to it.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Did you sign the sign-in sheet too? Thank you. Anyone else? Any supervisors have anything not on the agenda? Any Zoomers?
No, not at this time.
All right. Move on to page 2. We're going to start off with we're looking for approval of today's agenda.
Move to approve.
Second.
And a motion by Supervisor Brown and a second by Supervisor Carnell to approve the agenda. Is there any public comment on items on the agenda about the approval of it? Seeing none, hearing none, we'll call for the question. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Approval of items on the consent agenda. Anything there?
Mr. Chairman, we needed to pull that one item off of the consent agenda for,
Item 5G.
yeah. That will be brought back at a later time. We've got a map issue we've got to resolve. And
Okay.
I will say, unless you want me to do it differently, I will bring it back on regular agenda, which is probably where it should have been put this time around.
Start with, okay.
Gotta appreciate that, actually. Yeah.
So we're looking for a motion for consent
I'll make the motion to approve the consent with that item removed.
with 5G removed.
Second.
All right, we had a motion by Supervisor Oneto, a second by Supervisor Epperson to approve the consent agenda with 5G removed. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Item 3, regular agenda. Start off with a resolution proclaiming August 2026 as Child Support Awareness Month in Amador County. Adoption and presentation of a resolution, and here we go. Welcome.
Morning, members of the board. My name is Kim Britt, and I'm the Executive Director of Central Sierra Child Support Agency, and with me today is Deputy Director Daniel Padilla. And we want to thank you for the opportunity to speak with you today as we request that the board proclaim the month of August as Child Support Awareness Month. I appreciate being able to share not just what our agency does, but how our work we do every day strengthens the families who form the heart of Amador County. A special thank you to Supervisors Brown and Carnell, who are both members of our board of directors. And their guidance and leadership are very appreciated, and they play an important role in our agency's success.
And Paisley. And Paisley.
Absolutely, we would not forget Paisley. Child support can sometimes be misunderstood. People often assume that opening a child support case means a parent is unwilling to support their child, but that is not the case for many families. Parents open cases for all kinds of reasons: to create clarity, to ensure children have access to medical support, to establish legal parentage, and to have a reliable system for both receiving and making child support payments. Sometimes it's simply a way to avoid stress and reduce the stress and avoid conflicts between the parents. So opening a child support case can often be a responsible, proactive step and not a sign of reluctance to support a child. Our agency is unique in California, unlike most child support departments that operate under a single county umbrella. Central Sierra Child Support Agency is a JPA. We provide services to families in Alpine, Amador, Calaveras, and Tuolumne counties. And we currently serve about 4,200 families total. And within those families is about 10,000 children. We are fully state and federally funded, meaning our services do not draw upon Amador County's general fund. Every dollar spent on helping families comes from designated funding that supports child well-being and family stability. Our entire agency consists of 24 dedicated employees whose work goes far beyond collecting and distributing child support, though they do that exceptionally, returning more than $10 million for families every single year. They also assist parents in navigating court processes, obtaining orders, filing necessary documents, securing medical support, and establishing parentage at low or no cost to the families. Every day they help parents move from uncertainty to stability. Nationwide, child support helps lift approximately 1 in 3 children in single-parent households out of poverty. Here in Amador County, we currently assist 1,067 families, and in the last federal fiscal year, we distributed over $2.7 million in child support that all went directly to families here in Amador County. Child Support Awareness Month gives us the opportunity to highlight this impact and reduce the stigma surrounding child support services. It helps the community understand that child support is not about punishment. It is about partnership. It is about helping children grow up healthy and secure, ensuring families have access to services that strengthen their future. CSESA takes care of the financial aspect and allows parents to focus on co-parenting successfully. This year, we're going to be out in the communities speaking to families about the importance of establishing legal parentage, particularly for children who are born outside of a marriage. When parentage is not legally established, children may miss out on important benefits such as medical coverage, inheritance rights, or Social Security benefits. Establishing parentage also ensures that both parents can play a meaningful and recognized role in the child's life. Much of this can be accomplished through a simple voluntary declaration of parentage, and our staff are here to help families navigate that process whether the parents live together or apart. By proclaiming August as Child Support Awareness Month, Amador County affirms the value of supporting local families and helping children thrive, recognizing the important work the important work done every day by the staff of Central Sierra Child Support Agency. I appreciate your time and your ongoing commitment to the Amador County families, and I am happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Any questions?
No, thank you, awesome, very good, great information.
Yes.
I've got a resolution for you I'd like to read into the record, so. It's a resolution proclaiming August 2026 as Child Support Awareness Month in Amador County. Whereas the vision of Central Sierra Child Support Agency is partnering with families to create self-sufficiency. And whereas the professional staff of Central Sierra Child Support Agency work diligently to fulfill this vision by partnering with families involved in more than 4,200 cases and collecting over $11 million in support last federal fiscal year. And whereas the Central Sierra Child Support Agency declares its commitment to having a meaningful impact on the families it serves. And whereas the Central Sierra Child Support Agency is engaged in educating its customers regarding their cases and the community regarding the services it provides. And whereas the Central Sierra Child Support Agency affirms the important role it plays in partnering with parents to support the well-being of children. And whereas the Central Sierra Child Support Agency encourages parents to be accountable for their children, providing them many opportunities to succeed. Whereas the Central Sierra Child Support Agency thanks its partner agencies and recognizes its child support professionals who strive to continuously improve their customer service and make a difference in the lives of the children in our community. Be it resolved that the Board of Supervisors applauds said agency for its continued service to the families throughout our community. It is further proclaimed and ordered that the month of August 2026 shall hereby be designated as Child Support Awareness Month, approved by the Board of Supervisors unanimously on the 11th day of August, 2026. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
And you want a photo op?
Sure.
We have them photogenic.
We need to vote on it,
Oh, yeah.
and the public hasn't.
Public
We
comment.
already passed it according to the resolution.
I always love that.
This was written days ago.
Right. Do we have a motion and a second?
Go ahead.
A motion to proclaim Child Support Awareness Month in Amador County.
Second.
Do we have any public comment?
I'm gonna get,
Oh, sorry, sir.
that's all right.
Okay.
Guys are in a hurry this morning. Is there any public comment on this resolution? Any none here, any Zoomers? All right, then what are we gonna do if the question's 4-1? Call for the question. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Now we're gonna have the photo.
Thank you.
There.
I appreciate you all.
That's Director Carnell is on your board too. Yeah, it's all right. Thank you, folks. Okay. Thank you, Supervisor. 3B is discussion and possible action relative to the use of flock cameras in Amador County. Suggested action is pleasure of the board.
I could probably open this one if you want.
Okay, sure.
I wasn't really aware what they were, and they were brought to my attention by a not insignificant percentage of our county. And then I discovered that the flock cameras have gone viral, and they've become a national conversation. noticed that they're on the local, or not the local, sorry, the national cable channels. And there's a lot of talk about them on social media. And apparently not everything that's said about them on social media is true. So I figured we'd just bring all this out into the light of day. Thus far, 54 cities, including LA, have canceled their flock contracts with Fourth Amendment concerns, privacy concerns, malfeasance concerns, and a lack of regulation. But I just thought it'd be a good time to get all this information out into the public. Flock is a privately owned company by Garrett Langley. He has approximately 700,000 cameras, and he uses pattern recognition through AI to gather information, and then that information is available for sale to law enforcement, but not limited to law enforcement. And so I just have a list of questions that people in the community have asked, and I don't have an accurate answer to because I'm not an expert. So I just thought I'd ask the sheriff to explain to us and maybe assuage people's concerns.
Okay. We've invited the sheriff to be here today and the undersheriff and some staff, so. Sheriff? And team, come on up. Welcome.
Thank you. Good morning, gentlemen.
Morning.
And Supervisor Carnell, I appreciate the opportunity, because like you said, there's a tremendous amount of misinformation out there. I want to start off with first of how we got here, what flock actually is, what it does for us here in Amador County, because there are different degrees of flock. And flock is just one of the systems out there. Vigilant is another one. There's a lot of they're called LPRs, license plate readers, that are available. And we chose flock for certain reasons. So in 2023, we started demoing some systems. Flock was the main one. We got access to it. We had no contract because we have no cameras in Amador County. So until 2025 is when we decided that we did want to enter into a contract because we saw the tremendous value that flock provided. And it enhanced our capabilities. Our detectives were solving some cases that we probably would have solved, but it was much more efficient and much more expedited by tapping into this system. And so what happened was we had a case where we had a heavy piece of equipment stolen here in Amador County that was going to cost them thousands of dollars. It was close to, I think, $75,000 for that piece of equipment. We used flock and found it in El Dorado because we had no cameras here in Amador County, and immediately wrote a search warrant, recovered that piece of equipment. So that was kind of our first experience with flock. So when I looked at this, I knew there was some controversy behind it. The Fourth Amendment definitely came up, so obviously we did our research, and unequivocally I can say there is zero Fourth Amendment violation. If there was, the system would have been shut down years ago. Taking a picture of your license plate out in a public roadway in public view is not a search or a seizure. That is the Fourth Amendment. So when it comes to storage, et cetera, and access, I will talk about that in a little bit. So I want to get that out of the way. There is zero Fourth Amendment violation. And I've seen people accusing me of violating the Fourth Amendment. My answer and what I will tell them is take me to federal court because you're not going to listen to anything I have to say. The case law actually supports my position and the position of multiple other agencies that actually are part of flock. So that's kind of how we first started. In 2025 is when we started putting our first cameras in. We currently have 8 cameras installed. We're slated for 10. 2 of those are actually going to get moved. They're going to be taken out of Sutter Creek because of the concerns from Sutter Creek, which I don't want to be a bad partner. If they have concerns and don't want them, that's fine. We will move them. So one of them is actually slated to go to Latrobe Road, and the other is down by 49 and Electra. So our goal is really to get the people that are coming into and out of Amador County. We have 3 casinos. So last year I had to cut my budget $800 and something thousand. Those were positions I had slated to increase our deputies. So now I'm relying on technology to help us keep Amador the safest place I can possibly keep it. And as sheriff, that is my goal. That is my number one goal. And that is something I looked at when I made the decision, even though this was controversial, is I make decisions globally based on, is it going to be safe? Is this going to enhance our capabilities? Is it going to be more efficient? Is it going to keep the people of Amador County safe? And if those answers are yes, then I'm probably going to do it. I want to make this clear. I don't work for one person in Amador County. I work for the community as a whole. So when I'm making these decisions, I look at the overall effect it's going to have on the community. And if that outweighs any, part of the negatives, I'm probably going to move in that direction. Because I've been told, I pay your salary, you work for me. I don't work for a single person. You pay for the entire sheriff's office, which I'm included in that. I don't work for two people. I don't work for three people. I work for the community as a whole. So that was part of that global decision I made. So we went with basically the cheapest version of Flock. It literally is geared to take a picture of a car leaving, the rear license plate. It's not geared to take front pictures. It's not geared to take pictures of people that are driving the vehicle. It's the rear license plate. There's no live streaming. There's no facial recognition. None of that is included in our system. One, I did not want that. We made that decision. We don't need facial recognition. I don't want pictures of drivers. To me, that and Supervisor Carnell and I had this conversation. I'm not a big government guy either. To me, that was a little too overboard, even though still legal. So that is what our system does. It stores it for 30 days, and after 30 days, it's deleted out of the system. It's not tracking people. It's not making notifications for us. We get 0 notifications. It can't write you a citation. It can't tell us if that vehicle was stolen. It can't tell us if that vehicle is wanted. It has none of those capabilities. It literally has to be searched. The only way we can access it is all my folks are trained on how to properly access it. We have policies and procedures in place, which we are revamping. And this is a brand new system for us. Policies are always evolving, so we're looking at what's the best practices out there. How can we safeguard this information? A lot of people have talked about officers doing things that they shouldn't be doing. Guess what? I've had access to confidential information for over 30 years. If I misuse that information, I'm going to be held accountable and I'm probably going to get terminated. And the same goes with any system we have. There's a reason why we carry guns. And if you use your gun improperly, you use your baton improperly, guess what? You're going to be held accountable. So it's the same type of policies and procedures that we constantly are developing. So there's no private access. Nobody can access this unless we give them the access, and it's only for law enforcement. And we have to actually give them the access, just like when we request access to get into the flock cameras throughout the state of California, that agency has to give us access. And what happens if I access a camera in Elk Grove? So that agency can audit us, and it's gonna tell them exactly what we looked at, the reason why we looked at it, who looked at it, but it blocks out the license plate. So that agency doesn't even know the license plate of the vehicle, even though it's their system, doesn't know the license plate of that vehicle. So that's kind of one of those safeguards. So we review and we audit everything, including the staff that looks at this system. It's audited by my command staff, and they have to have a reason for doing it. So let's talk about some of the reasons. Number one is larceny and thefts. That's what happens here in Amador County, unfortunately. Burglary, breaking and entering, wanted persons arrest. That's another one. We have a lot of people that have felony warrants here in Amador County, so we use it to come after you. Once again, I'm going back to how do I make Amador County the safest place possible. Assaults, stolen vehicles, those are kind of the top ones. We've looked at kidnapping. We've looked at rape. We have active investigations going right now that I cannot discuss that this system is helping us solve. We've had violent crimes. We just had a stabbing in Pine Grove. The system was accessed. So when people say that we don't have the violence, yes, we do. thank you that you feel safe here in Amador County. I appreciate that. That means my folks are doing an amazing job, which they are. But unfortunately, we do have violent crimes. We have homicides, we have rapes, we have kidnappings, we have child abductions. All that comes into play, and that's what this system is designed to do, is to help us solve those as quickly and as efficiently as possible. So I talked about the cuts that we had, 800,000 that were positions, and now I've got eyes out there that we can access, but not tracking. And that's that misconception that somehow we're able to track you. No, if you go to the grocery store in Martell, you're not even going to be on a flock camera. We have no knowledge of that. You commit a crime, now we have a reason to look and see if a white Chevy pickup that was described in some type of crime or is a missing person at risk, now we can access it and hopefully either catch that person or find that missing person. Some of the successes. Galt PD just had a kidnapping, I believe last week, that was solved by flock cameras, and it was a child abduction. The Tiger Fire. Tiger Fire, we provided the information based off of a description when we accessed the flock cameras and gave that to CAL FIRE, who was able to arrest and get a conviction of that suspect. If people don't remember the Walmart burglary, that we had an armed 211 robbery at Walmart. That was outside entities. They were gang members out of Stockton. We have an arrest warrant for 2 of them. One of them's dead. He was involved in a gang shooting. He's dead. But we have an outstanding arrest warrant, and he fled out of state. Flock was used to solve that case. They had hit multiple Walmarts throughout the foothills and other areas, and not one entity wanted to even investigate this, but my detectives jumped on it, found the suspect, solved it, and we got those arrest warrants. And it's funny, all the other entities, agencies were wanting us to share all the information and give them who the suspects were, which of course we did provide that information. But I was like, you guys were a little lazy on that one.
I was gonna ask a couple of these questions.
Yes.
Who owns this data? And where is it stored?
So it's stored by the company, and we reached out, the undersheriff recently reached out to the company and said, hey, when you guys are out there talking and giving any type of public forum, what are the safeguards? We're not the technical people. We just know, hey, the camera works, it's stored by the company. So they provided us that information of the safeguards, and it's a bunch of technical jargon that I've never heard of. It's encrypted. It can only be accessed by people that are authorized to access it. And once again, we have those audits, we have those policies. But to answer your question, it is owned and stored by the company. We pay for that service.
And we pay for the cheapest version, but the camera itself can still gather all the other data that we don't have access to, or
No.
is it like a cheaper camera?
No, it literally is the cheapest camera. It can't do any of the other stuff that I talked about. And we don't share with, outside of the state of California. We don't share federal. We do zero immigration enforcement. In fact, that's illegal under SB 54, even though I think people kind of know my stance on immigration. That's not what it's used for.
If a search was done on me and I submitted a FOIA request, would I be able to know who tracked me with Flock, or would I not be allowed to get that information?
So if we're doing a search on you,
Mm-hmm.
it's probably a criminal case. So no, I'm not giving you that information. If your family member was missing and you wanted to know who did the search, we would provide that information to you.
Flock provides that.
No, we do.
Oh, okay.
We do. We're the ones that are kind of the gatekeepers when it comes to our cameras. Even
No one else in the country can access our cameras?
only outside of California, no. Inside California, there are other law enforcement agencies that we have access to other law enforcement agencies, and other law enforcement agencies have access to us. And that's what I discussed earlier, that we can audit that, we do look at it, but we can't even see the license plate of the search they did. We just get who did it, why they did it, was it a criminal case, was it missing, and then it shows us a picture of the vehicle with the license plate blacked out.
Clarification, you said outside of California, no one else can access it.
Correct.
Are you familiar with Mountain View, California?
No.
They pulled their flock system, And if the article is correct, pulled the plug on its entire license plate reader camera network this week. It discovered that Flock Safety's render system had been sharing city data with hundreds of law enforcement agencies, including federal ones, without permission. That'd be outside California. And it says Chief Mike Canfield ordered all 30 of the city's Flock cameras disabled on February 3rd, 2026. So which is correct?
I'm not familiar with that case, Supervisor Oneto. I
Okay.
have no knowledge of that. Flock has guaranteed us that they do not sell or share our data. We have a contract with them. If they violate our contract, I will get county counsel involved.
All I'm saying, though, that is in contradiction to what you said, it can't be shared outside California. It appears it was.
Supervisor Neto, my understanding is that it could be shared, but the sheriff's policy is not to share it.
Okay.
So if the camera was,
That's a sheriff's policy, but that's not maybe what Flock did.
no. I believe I assume that I'll let the undersheriff.
I think I can answer your question. So,
Okay.
Being familiar with the system and how it works and the settings that are available, within the settings, there's buttons to click and toggles and things like that to turn on access. We do have the capability to turn on access to other parties. Our policy, in compliance with the state of California, is we do not share with outside entities. We do not share with the federal government. There's a checkbox to just deactivate that. My guess is what happened in Mountain View is somebody clicked the wrong button and didn't go through their policies and their settings correctly and shared outside.
It says without permission. But just an article. It might be worth looking. It might be worth
The
looking
person
into.
that did that probably didn't have permission, but that doesn't mean it didn't occur.
Okay.
So that might have happened. That might be why they're pulling it. I don't know the politics inside Mountain View. I know they're a little different than Amador counties generally. But I think you're looking at one situation, which was a one agency problem. We have ours turned off.
Another question. Do we use ALPR systems in your sheriff vehicles?
No, that is a capability, but we do not.
And how, you said it's stored for 30 days?
Correct.
So I was looking at your policy 473, Amador County Sheriff's. It'd be automated license plate readers. And what I was curious about was under 473.5, data collection and retention. All automated license plate reader data download to server shall be stored for a minimum of 1 year and in accordance with established records retention schedule. So the 30 days or 1 year?
So to answer that question, so Flock is only storing data by their own policies now for 30 days. So if an image is taken today, on the 31st day, that record is deleted. We no longer have access to that. The exception would be if we're investigating a case, we can go in there. If I say Supervisor Oneto is the suspect in this, we could download that image, store it. It becomes an evidentiary item, which we would either hold as evidence in the case, which could extend beyond a year. I'd be surprised now if any criminal case made its way through this system in less than a year. So we do have the ability to store images longer than a year, depending on what the case is. Some cases may take 5 years. If an image is downloaded of a vehicle and it turns out not to be involved in that, then the record would be purged pursuant to the record retention policy. Does that answer your question?
Kind of, but it's not what your policy says, because it goes on thereafter. The data should be purged unless it has become or is reasonable to believe it will become evidence in criminal or civil action. So it's saying keep it for a year unless it's become part of an investigation. So I read that to say you're keeping it for a year, period, and it becomes part of an investigation will go longer. But, you know, it's...
I think
we're getting out in the weeds. I understand that, but I mean, I guess one person said in one of their emails, I think was quite telling. The person said, I plain old just don't like it. And that's kind of where I am a little bit. I think a lot of people out there in the same way. You know, can Flock cameras be hacked? Or have they been?
They have not. I know there's a story floating around, and this is a conversation we had with Flock. There was a test camera that supposedly had access, but it was not a camera that was formatted or set up or deployed publicly. So according to Flock, They have not been hacked. Could anything be hacked? I suppose. I know the Department of Defense has been hacked. I know Sony was hacked, and I think they have pretty robust computer defense systems. So could I stand up here and tell you that nothing could ever be hacked? No, of course not. Anything is possible. Regarding the policies, that is one thing we're trying to clarify right now as we've seen some of these discussions come forth and some of the distrust from the public. So we are revising the policies to try to address and get very specific regarding some of these concerns. When we initially rolled out the policy, it was new. Policies are living dynamic documents and they change all the time. We update ours all the time and we plan on doing so, and hopefully it'll address some of these concerns.
What vehicles would you give an opt-out to? So some vehicles can be withheld from the license plate reader.
Never made that comment, Supervisor.
I've seen it somewhere. Well, not the comment, I mean, that is something in Flock's contract with you or their information. And I thought, well, who would we be holding out? Under Flock safety, privacy controls enable certain vehicles to opt out of being captured. So I thought, well, so we're looking at some people and not looking at some others? I don't know how that works.
No, that's not even accurate. We have nothing opted out on Flock.
Okay, but it's,
But that might be a capability.
Not on the cheap version?
Yeah, we got the economy version, so we don't have as much as a lot of.
I was just looking at Flock safety dated October 23rd, 2024. 2024 sole source letter for Flock safety and public safety solutions. I think that's probably what they gave you when you were looking at doing a sole source contract.
Probably.
And
I'm sure it's a lot of canned language, as most sole sources are.
I mean, that's a very canned answer, but it's still here. Anyway, I think probably the biggest thing is it's mass surveillance, and it's like, you ever hear the old saying, the camel gets its nose under the tent, and next thing you know, the camel's in the tent with you? I mean, that's kind of part of my concern. It's
Well, Supervisor, you're entitled to your opinion, and I have my opinion, but I'm the elected sheriff, so I made the decision, and I'll stand by my decision.
Yeah, actually, that was one of my questions, because I was looking at your memo, and I saw your name on it, but I didn't see you anywhere in the memo, so you were involved in making this decision?
Absolutely, 100%. And
Okay.
I believe the board unanimously approved this project. That would include you as well.
Yes, sometimes you make a mistake in life, you can admit it. I think I might have made a mistake.
Anyway, any other supervisors have?
I'm gonna go with a story many years ago, back when I was working for the Forest Service. At that time, one of my secondary jobs was getting aircraft ready for taking firefighters to other places. And so I've got 100 firefighters of the Forest Service gonna fly to Canada. And so we get the aircraft ready. I've got 100 firefighters sitting on the ramp, ready to go out. And I get a phone call from the Department of Interior. No, that's not Department of Interior, but whatever. 5 of your firefighters have things against them, and Canada doesn't want them. Okay, who are they? I can't tell you that. But you have 5 firefighters that can't come into Canada. If they come into Canada, we'll arrest them. So this stuff is out there. This watching is out there. So I had 10 people drop out because they weren't sure if they were going to go. So we had 90 firefighters go to Canada and flew them out and everything else. No other problem happened, but nobody would give me the information. And what I'm really trying to get at is this is out there. This is something that we're, as society, running with. At the same point that I tell you this story, I don't want one of my constituents' mother sitting there, their child got hit and run, and sheriff didn't see it, but we could possibly pick it up off this Flock camera and help this mother out why her child was hit and run. These are all the things that we've got to sit there and find the middle ground on. And I think the sheriff has found a middle ground with this, getting the most economical way of doing this. But I've had other situations in my life where I had another pilot get hauled over by the police because his license plate was stolen. Well, it was the proper license plate for his truck, but it was the old style. Now all U.S. government plates have a year date on them. The old ones did not have a year date on them. So, you know, the Forest Service in their one infinite wisdom decided, hey, we need to change out these license plates. They're now all stolen. They just marked it into the system as stolen if they're still on the truck. So this pilot was hauled off to jail to go. So this is all happening. I appreciate the sheriff for coming in and working with us, but we just have to make sure we keep, as you say, keep your eyes on it. Keep your eyes on the process and making sure, you know, it's the same process as you said, your weapon. If you misuse your weapon, things are going to happen. And I ask you to please do the same thing on these cameras.
Thank you, Supervisor. It is evolving. You know, there has to be the checks and balances. That I 100% agree with. We're kind of, like the undersheriff said, this is new to us. We're learning as we go along. But the good thing is the state of California, the legislation is actually putting a bill through that will heavily regulate the whole LPRs. I'm
Is there a
happy to
chance
say.
they'd even require a warrant? Is that
No.
possibly in there?
No.
No.
Once again, we go back, under the Fourth Amendment is when you need a warrant. You do not need a warrant to access a picture of a license plate. We run plates all day long. That information gets put out over our radio of make, model, year, name of the registered owner, and what city they're from. So that information is perfectly allowed to be out in the public. And it goes back to what Supervisor Brown was saying. It's the worst case scenario that I have to be prepared for. There's a reason why we wear body armor. There's a reason why I issue bulletproof helmets. There's a reason why we carry long guns. There's a reason why I have armored vehicles. It's the worst case scenario. We get one kidnapping, we get a murder, that's all it takes, and this system has paid for itself. And deterrence, like I said, 3 casinos in this county. We got a lot of people coming up here that are doing nefarious things. And they know that now we have technology on our side in Amador County. If it's 1 or 2 people that think twice and they go to another county, good for us. Everything has the ability to be misused. That I will 100% agree with. As sheriff, I have fired 2 deputies with over 20 years on for lying. I don't tolerate anything, and my staff knows that.
Hey, question, how many, when you do investigations, how many cases do you solve by using other cameras? I mean, cameras are everywhere. I mean, the fact that we have 8 more, I don't know if it matters, maybe it does. But how many cases typically do you pull how many different videos do you get when you pull a case sometimes?
I don't have the specific numbers, but we have used, cameras, Ring cameras, cameras off of people's businesses, homes, et cetera. I know a lot of agencies, and I tried starting this years ago. It didn't get a whole lot of traction. Was if you have a camera system at your house, like I have at my house, you can basically let the sheriff's office know that I do have a camera system. And if a crime occurs, that you're willing to work with us. We could contact you a year later and you say, hey, I decided I changed my mind. Okay, it's your system.
And then to that further effect, I mean, I think the bigger evidence is probably your own cell phone. I mean, how many cases, do you solve with cell phones? I mean, I know the prison, I'm 90% sure they still collect data. If you drive past Mill Creek State Prison, they're probably got your phone number in their system somewhere.
Yeah, we've solved a lot of cases with cell phone data. We've solved a lot of cases with GPS data on your vehicle. Those require warrants. And like I said, I'm not a real big government guy. I don't like the fact that I'm looking for a piece of gym equipment or some hunting equipment, and then I jump on social media, and now I've got 5 ads of what I was looking at, and I'm like, how in the holy heck did it know that?
Google Flock and see what happens to your algorithm.
No, I think the further point, I mean, if you're concerned about flock, you're going to have to burn a lot of cameras before you even get caught up. I mean, I mean, I just know you can say a few words or whatever else, and they're trackable. I mean, I know there's at least one escapee that got rounded up because his gal they grabbed her cell phone number, and I don't think he even made it to bed that night, and they had him round up because he took off to San Jose, but.
Yeah, we average about 15 plus thousand hits per day. I tell you, with 56 deputies, you think anybody's got time to sit there and review that? No, we don't.
And to that effect too, so you have those numbers, is that data used for anything else as far as just generally how many vehicles pass an intersection, that kind of stuff? Is that ever?
It gives us a generic number of, okay, our cameras picked up 15,000. That's it.
Okay. All right. Thank you. I mean, I could say, I years ago, I approved a few, like 4 cameras in downtown Ione, and very similar thing. My whole concern was I don't want this to go any farther than what it already has. It's like 30 days, it was wiped out, limited access, crimes only. I mean, I think that's my limit. I mean, anything else I think becomes very invasive. I mean, the Fourth and Fifth Amendment, are things.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, when I was the part-time chief of Sutter Creek, we had cameras installed before I even became the chief. They were already existing on Sutter Creek Main Street.
Yeah.
People were already on camera. Perfectly legal.
Yeah. It's public.
It's public. When you're out in public, there's no expectation of privacy. All my deputies carry body cams. We have cameras in our vehicles. So when you're out in public, you're on somebody's camera.
Yeah, my only final comment is that if there ever reviews, I have no problem canceling the program. I mean, and I know your standards, so I appreciate that, but that's where I'm at with it.
If the laws change, we'll go with the law.
Good, thank you.
Right now, like I said, the case law supports the system.
Thank you for that.
Sheriff, I just have I think I know the answer, but you said that you have 8 cameras and you're scheduled for 10.
Correct.
That's not 10 more, it's 10 total.
10 total.
Just wanted to make sure we were clear on that.
And mostly on the exits of.
That was the goal. We've had a lot of issues with Caltrans. Caltrans
No.
I know, it's hard to believe. A state agency
know.
is
It's true.
completely inefficient. So we're making a little headway. We found some county property. Like I said, my captain, who's here with me today, has been really spearheading this project, and he's been working hard to make sure not only we're getting the system, but we're doing it properly and we have the safeguards in place.
Yeah, it's the cameras are out there because it's, now you go across the Bay Bridge or anything else, just a picture taken.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. And they mail you the bill.
I watched a supervisors meeting from another county this morning because every time I pick up my phone, it offers me something about Flock now. But he said what Flock was when he signed up for it in 2021 and what it is now. Or he felt they were too, so because of the exponential explosion of AI, it started making him concerned until there's some federal regulations on it. So
Which is
why
why we opted
really
out.
close eye on it.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of facial recognition, AI. I think it's, the technology's too new. Let the federal government worry about that.
There's stories of it being sold to insurance companies so they can see exactly when the dent was put on the vehicle. The stories are out there of this data being sold in a lot of places for a lot of things. So it's got a lot of people very concerned about not what you are doing in your policies, but what AI and a $7.5 billion company is doing with that information.
I'd be more worried about Teslas. Teslas have 360-degree cameras, and where's that information going when you park next to a Tesla? I do like the fact that when they get vandalized, that's some really good video right there.
All right. Well, Sheriff, I appreciate your candor.
Of course, we'll be here because I'm sure there's going to be a lot of public comment. And
We're going to
a lot
have
of,
that.
A lot of questions on Zoom.
We're going to have that right now.
All right, thank you, sir.
All right. We're ready for public comment on this issue. And again, please state your name when you come to the podium. Try to keep it to 3 minutes and sign the sign-in sheet. So who wants to go first?
The video's rolling, so.
Yeah. We got a Zoomer?
2.
All right. We'll start off with the Zoomers. Seems
We-
kind of apropos. Go ahead.
We have Joe with Sutter Creek. Please go ahead when ready. Changed your mind. We have a call-in user. If you could please state your name for the record.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, my name is Gord Officer, and I support flock cameras. They help keep our neighborhoods safe from all sorts of troublemakers. Amador County is a rural white county, and we think that flock cameras will keep out the riffraff. This is not San Francisco or Sacramento or San Diego or Los Angeles or any of those dumps. We need to keep out these trannies, these spics, these kikes, these niggers, these dinks, and everyone else who's...
Heather.
Yeah. Sound like.
Thank you for your input. How about the next one?
Go ahead, Bethany, when you're ready.
Hi, my name's Bethany Darnell, and I'm from District 5. I'm here to share a few of the many concerns I have with the flock cameras that were installed last year without public discussion. My first concern is who pays when flock system fails. While I don't have access to Amador County's contract, flock standard contract caps companies' total liability at 12 months of fees and specifically excludes damages from incomplete, corrupt, or inaccurate data. The Institute for Justice has documented 27 wrongful stops from these systems, with 26 innocent people held at gunpoint. In Aurora, Colorado, a family of 4 children was ordered face down on the pavement over a plate error, and the city paid the settlement. And the most concerning part is only about a third of these cases were camera error. The rest came from stale, hotless data and from officers acting on an alert without verifying it first. Those failures happen inside the department and within our own protocols, and the contract makes sure they land on our budget, not Fox. The second concern is who controls the data. Every jurisdiction that audited itself found the same thing. To clarify the Mountain View situation that Supervisor Amador brought up earlier, Mountain View's system had a national lookup setting turned on without the city's knowledge, and Flock was unable to determine how it was turned on or off. During that time, 250 agencies ran 600,000 searches that weren't authorized by the city. Doesn't sound like the city had control over their data. Oxnard found that Flock had switched on nationwide access despite the department setting it to California only. San Francisco's own audit found 299 illegal inquiries and 1.6 million out-of-state queries. California law says we may not share this data outside of California public agencies. Our Attorney General is in court against El Cajon over exactly that. And the statute carries damages of at least $2,500 per violation. When a county wants out, it isn't simple. The board in Dane County, Wisconsin voted to terminate their Flock contract. Flock didn't collect its 26 cameras, so the sheriff's office had to cover them itself. Eugene, Oregon ordered 57 cameras off in October and found them still capturing plates in December. LAPD's contract expired last month. Over 100 cameras reportedly kept recording while the department was locked out. A common defense is that a good policy fixes this. State and Ohio had a surveillance ordinance since 2021 that included usage policies and public hearings. Their own 2024 report said an internal audit found no violations. The logs later showed over 7,000 immigration-related searches by 143 outside agencies. Their city manager said it's very clear that we failed to execute. My request to the board is that you take the cost for failures of this technology and control of the data into account, and that as the Flock renewal comes up soon, use that to remove Flock cameras from Amador County. Thank you.
All right. Thank you for your input. Any other Zoomers?
We have Joe with
Is Joe
Sutter
back?
Creek. Yes. Please go ahead when ready.
Hey there. Sorry, I had a muting issue before. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Excellent. Well, I'd love to address some of the points that the sheriff made because I don't think it paints the full picture, but there's probably not enough time for that here. So I'm going to keep it brief and focus on a single question which is, is the ROI or the, the return on investment of the system worth the budget costs and the civil liberties concerns? What have the cameras produced? I mean, obviously there were some examples given, but how does that translate into cost? If we can't cleanly answer that, why should we be using such a system? There's some data that's surfacing across the country, and there's one randomized study of license plate readers found they did indeed increase stolen vehicle recoveries, but not necessarily arrests. And the authors concluded that there was, quote, little clear evidence for crime prevention efficacy of using LPRs in general. Atlanta has a pretty big network, and they grew that network eightfold between 2021 and this year. They did have a homicide clearance rate went down by 4%, but robbery, assault, vehicle theft remained flat. So it's kind of unclear exactly how much value these systems are providing, and they're not cheap for the taxpayer. So it also doesn't appear that there's been any independently measured error rates since 2021, when the testing firm found significant percent of errors. But after they published their report, Flock stopped selling them their equipment. So I guess my ask is that before you appropriate another dollar, have the sheriff's office publish 4 numbers. How many alerts has this system generated? How many were false? How many arrests came from it, and what each one cost us? And then decide in advance what number this program has to hit next year to keep being funded. If there's no standard measurement to judge against, then you have a program that can't fail evaluation and just keeps getting blindly renewed, which in a subscription service, those are increasing fees. And if you are just blindly renewing, that's irresponsible handling of funds and civil liberties. So I hope you take that into consideration, and I would love to send a follow-up email to supplement some of the items that the sheriff had mentioned. So thank you.
All right. Thank you, Joe. Okay. Public comment from the audience here. Here we go. It's always tough to go first. Good morning.
My name's Christian Mullen. Thank you for allowing us to speak to this today. Thank you, Sheriff, for your comments on the concerns that you had when you were trying to decide on this camera, the type of system that's being used, and trying to limit it. I appreciate, because I'm very not for surveillance state. I'm not for online presence. I try to reduce, for my family, our own online presence, our own features being displayed to private companies. That being said, going into public, I recognize that there isn't an expectation of privacy, but I know when I go to someone's house, they could or may have security cameras, and I accept that when I walk onto their property. When I am a patron to a business, I understand they're gonna have security cameras. I understand that they have a system in place to maintain their own security. I go there and I accept that user agreement. Flock is a third party. We don't control the data. The data goes to them. We rely on them to wipe their servers. We have our own internal policies in place, it sounds like, to manage it on our end. But at the end of the day, Sheriff's Department is signing the end user agreement for all the citizens, trusting that Flock is going to do the right thing. I don't get a choice on whether or not Flock has access to my data. I log onto the internet, I know that website's going to control my data or collect my data, and I can go into the settings and I can opt out or minimize those at my will. Unfortunately, because we don't own the data, maybe it'd be a different story if we had our own, we retain that and it never goes to Flock, but it is a third party that is taking our data and we don't have a choice. So I do appreciate the thought put into it, but for me, it's unacceptable that I don't get that choice to opt out. That's all I've got.
Thank you.
All right. Next.
Rox Soneto. Just to give you a little background on this kind of stuff, this information is out there. Once that ship has sailed, it's sailed. You can't pull it back. I'll give you a little case in point I had. There's something similar to this. I received a ticket in the mail from a highway patrol for 105 miles an hour going westbound. He was going eastbound at 50. And he says he could identify me. So I went to DMV and I had a little bit one up in the average citizen. We're in court. And I wanted to request for discovery who accessed the DMV database and when was my license looked up. And the state wouldn't tell me if they basically said they didn't retain that information or they wouldn't tell me. So this information's out there, but getting it's a whole nother story. Because I believe the officer is lying. I believe he went in the database and looked me up. And I want to know what day he did that. The state would not tell me. This, in the business world, this is what's out there for you about this Flock camera. This is not even a term sheet, let alone a contract. Is there a contract? And where do we get a copy of it? This is not even a term sheet. Secondly, on all the signatures, on the back page, the parties that are in this agreement, do you have a signed copy of that? I don't. I'm glad to see Gary Redmond here. Besides his name at the top of this letterhead, he has signed nothing. So I'm glad to see he's here, that he knows it. So if something happens, he's the top man. That's who we voted to represent us. He's been elected. In here, you talk of party 1 and 2. Who's party 1? Who's party 2? How can the public obtain the Sheriff's Policy 473? So we can read that. Then there's a discipline policy of 340. I believe when the Sheriff's Office does discipline, it's within the Sheriff's Office. And the public, I don't think even knows how the discipline went. It's just, we did it, and you don't need to know about it. There's an action taken. Does Flock have a liability policy? And are they holding the county harmless? Are they going to defend you? In this, when you go to get things, to buy a car, you got to sign your name 13 times. I don't see any contact information here about Flock. There's a phone number. Who's the person that's responsible at Flock? You know, what is Flock's employee ID number used? So my question, is there another contract out there, or is this it? The disclosure and statement, is this the only thing there is, or is there another contract out there? Because there should be something with a lot more attorney verbiage in it than what I'm seeing here. Can anybody answer that question?
There is a contract like with the general services. Do you have that?
Yes, it's one, it talks a lot about that they're not going through a competitive bid process because it sounds like Flock's the one or one and only one that has this. But in the contract world, there's way more than this 2 pages. Signed by Department Head Jeremy Martin. So is there any, does the supervisor know, is there another contract, or can the sheriff tell us? Is there something besides this, or is this it?
There's another contract. There's an
Is
actual.
there? Could I get a copy?
Yeah.
Why is it not in here?
I don't know what you have, but I don't know what you have. I don't know where you got it.
Rux, you're running over your 3 minutes. Maybe you should contact Greg. Well, he could work on it. We'll work on it. We got other people want to talk. Contact him he's got his office. Anyone else?
Good morning, Jamie Lebanco, District 5. Thank you, Chairman Crew and members of the board, for allowing us to speak on this issue today. I will follow up on Rux's comments. The information he has is from the February 12th, 2025 Board of Supervisors meeting when this contract and this item was voted on. I know that because Google. I saw the agenda item come up on today's agenda and there was no staff report or any information with it. So I kind of just started trying to research it and find out where it had started. Imagine my surprise to realize that I was one of the examples, not myself personally, but my construction company, that was used as how these flock cameras have been successful in the past. So I really wanted to touch on that in case anyone was aware. But I do want members of the public and the community that are looking for information on this contract to know that they can find it on the county's website under all past minutes. If you scroll to February 2025, it is a consent agenda item and there is a 20-page contract and document there. Contract, maybe not the correct term as Rux pointed out, but there's a document there, 20 pages of information that has a lot of the answers to the questions people are asking today. The other thing that I noted is that it is a 24-month contract, so assuming that it was approved in February, I'm thinking that somewhere around March or April of 2027, this contract would come back up, and I'm curious if at that point in time it would come back before the board. With regard to the example that was given, our construction company did have a piece of large equipment stolen in the Shenandoah Valley. It was an excavator, a used excavator, but an excavator of a certain amount of value nonetheless. And frankly, in the construction business, we do a lot of work outside of Amador County, and we've had numerous trailers stolen. Unfortunately, construction sites are kind of ripe for this type of crime. And once it was stolen and we knew it was stolen, we actually, knowing the community as well as we do, started reaching out to neighboring businesses to see if anybody had picked anything up. And fairly quickly, we had determined which direction it had left the construction site, and it headed into El Dorado County. And it was an El Dorado County flock camera that picked up this vehicle with our piece of equipment behind it. And the Amador County Sheriff's Department, working with the El Dorado County Sheriff's Department, went and retrieved our excavator. Good enough story for Shenandoah Excavating, but I kind of just wanted to kind of explain that because I've had some members of the community reach out and note that we're being used as an example here and wanted to know if I didn't have any concerns about their civil liberties, and I don't think that those two are technically connected, at least in this example of our piece of equipment being stolen. Again, I just wanted to let people know that it is a February 12th, 2025 agenda item where you can find this contract and direct people there for some of the answers to some of their questions.
Did you catch that, Rux? Got that date? Yeah. Okay.
Let's go to agendas and minutes, it'll pop right up.
Yeah. Okay, we have another Zoomer.
Thank you. Please go ahead when ready and identify your name for the record.
I'd rather not state my name, but I am an Amador County resident. So the sheriff claims he's not a big government guy, but in the same breath says there's unequivocally no Fourth Amendment rights violation with ALPR systems, well, specifically with flock systems. He said the system is not tracking, so while maybe it's not tracking in the traditional sense, you know, there's no physical GPS tracking device attached to a vehicle. There's no law enforcement officer following us, but I think that misses the point. See, these cameras create time-stamped records showing that a particular vehicle was at a particular location, and those records can later be searched to reconstruct where that vehicle has been. So that's why the Supreme Court decision just a month and a half ago or so, Chattree versus United States, is relevant. Now, I understand that case was about cell phone location data, not license plate readers, so I'm not suggesting that it's identical, but the Supreme Court held that the police conducted a Fourth Amendment search when they obtained stored location history, even though the information covered only a limited period of time and was held by a third-party technology company. The constitutional concern wasn't whether police had physically attached a tracker to somebody. It was the government gaining access to a stored record of where that person had been. So whether we call flock tracking, location logging, or simply a database of vehicle sightings, I think the real question is the same, is how much information about an innocent person's movement should the government be able to collect, store, search without a warrant? And I'll yield the rest of my time. Oh, before that, I would like to say that I'm requesting that the board not just stop the expansion of the flock system in Amador County. I'm requesting that they get rid of it completely, as it is a Fourth Amendment rights violation in my view. Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else in the audience? Long walk from the back of the room.
And I'm pregnant, so it's like, start breathing heavy, sorry. I submitted my email late last night. Oh, sorry, my name is Jessie, and I'm a Volcano resident. I submitted my email late last night, so I'm largely just gonna read it in case you guys didn't see it when it came across your desk this morning. But I do wanna acknowledge that I think we can all appreciate the benefits that this could have. We don't begrudge the Sheriff's Department for the good things that come out of it. We don't begrudge when a piece of equipment is found, but I think that there are serious considerations that need to be made that they just have to be weighed, right? And so I appreciate you hearing this today. So I would like to formally submit and publicly comment my opposition to the use of flock/ARLP cameras in Amador County. I implore you to rescind board approval for the use of these cameras, formally cancel the flock contracts, and have them taken down immediately. I'm not in favor of a surveillance state. I think consent is important. I don't trust the company that provides flock. I don't trust AI. I don't trust the government and powers that be not to abuse them now or eventually abuse them. Although I support law enforcement, I do not have blanket trust for the authorized users. And authorized users change too. So even if we trust people now, do we trust the next person? And once they're in, right? There have already been documented incidents where authorized users have abused the system. I really appreciate the first Zoom call who listed some of those out very nicely. Flock Safety even issued a statement that misuse is not widespread and it's what they consider isolated. That translates to misuse and abuse is known and is actually happening. It's not a future speculation. There is an ability for data to be hacked, which we've acknowledged from both sides. I don't like the term that data is generally deleted after 30 days. Laws, rules, and regulations have not kept up with technology. They have a high error rate and innocent people have the burden of proof. Again, this is currently happening, it's not just speculation. And I wanted to address the talking point that if you're not doing anything wrong, what's the big deal? So I'm not hiding the fact that I don't necessarily trust the government and powers that be to not unreasonably adjust the bar for what is considered wrong or not. If we would take COVID, for instance, Imagine, if you will, that the cameras were used for people gathering for church, traveling unnecessarily, or using a public park when we were deemed that we were not supposed to be doing that. I hope you catch the drift. There has been talk online of geofencing of sorts during protests and that sort of thing. All of which, they assure us, is definitely not happening, and it's definitely not a slippery slope of constitutional infringement. And Supervisor Oneto mentioned I was the one who said, and I just don't plain like it. Sheriff Redmond mentioned that policies change all the time, and that's true. Supervisor Carnell mentioned concern has only grown from initial installation for some departments. That's the nature. Once you put something like this in place, you've let it go. The camel's in the tent. And it won't always be a system ran by Sheriff Redmond, even if we trust Sheriff Redmond. I sincerely urge you to consider that even though the stated intended purpose of these cameras isn't a bad thing, that there are very serious unintended issues and considerations that should not be ignored in the name of safety. And I again ask you as a board to rescind approval accordingly. But my husband forgot to mention one thing, so he wrote a little note, so I'm gonna add it for him. So Sheriff Redmond spoke about accountability if misuse from the flock system occurs. We don't control the accountability. We can't fire flock employees like he can fire sheriff's deputies. And if they do it, it's still too late because it happened. So thank you guys for your time.
Right. Anyone else? Good morning.
My name is Carol D., and unlike a lot of the people here, I am 100% behind Sheriff Redmond and the flock cameras. I'm speaking on behalf of being a victim myself, my family. I've been a victim's advocate for over 20 years. I no longer do that, but I can tell you from working with victims and myself, my immediate family members, we had an immediate family member murdered. Unfortunately, at that time, we didn't have AI. We didn't have the opportunity that we have now. The opportunity to have this information for our sheriff and our county is so important. People do not understand. There's a handful of people that are trying to create havoc in our community. Stop this. This is nonsense. People do not understand what it is like to live your life in fear, to be a victim. I have helped so many people overcome and support them in courts. We didn't have this opportunity. Had we had this opportunity, I wouldn't have had to be a volunteer. I spent over 20 years volunteering, not only for victims, but for children in foster care system. People, don't believe everything you're listening to. It's creating a division in our community. Most of us voted for Sheriff Redmond for a good reason. We know he's a good man. He takes a strong stance, and that's what we want for our community. And if any of you think that these people that are creating havoc are doing it for anything other than notoriety, you would be wrong. A lot of these people want to get noticed. I never have. My name is not anywhere out there. So I'm just saying, think of it as a victim's position, please, because that's the most important person involved, is the victims. Thank you very much.
Thank you for signing in. All right, anyone else? I thought I said, yeah.
Morning. Nate
Morning.
Fuller.
Look serious. You brought your
Oh,
case
no,
up.
that's just something I'm stuck with all the time.
Okay.
You know, while he's signing in, I have a comment. There's many types of victims, and we had victims back in the mid-1700s that came up with the Declaration of Independence and a Bill of Rights, because they were victims of a government.
Thank you, Supervisor Onetto. Yes, sir.
Good morning. I'm coming at this a little bit different of a perspective. I know we have the flock issue, but I'm looking at more of the implementation of the flock system, and then there's also the issue with flock. I'm not an attorney, just like Sheriff Redmond's not an attorney. I can come up here and say, I know what the Fourth Amendment is, this is what it does, this is how it's not being infringed upon. I look at it, if we were driving down the road and an officer stops us, writes down a license plate number, writes down the color, make, and model of our vehicle, writes down the date and time, and says direction of travel, and says, okay, have a nice day. We would say that's a Fourth Amendment a violation of our rights. Law enforcement is stopping us and preventing us from going about our activities. And they're actually documenting where we are, when we are, and what's going on. We're circumventing the Fourth Amendment protection by saying we're going to have an automated system that is doing this, that is not going to affect you. It's not going to stop you. Don't worry about it. In the next 30 days, as you did nothing wrong, it's going to be okay. Well, we have already instances where that's not okay. It's not 100% accurate. People are being stopped because the license plate numbers were identified by AI inappropriately or not accurately. What I saw was interesting, going back to the first comment regarding the implementation, we have, and Mr. Gillott will have to comment on this, California Civil Code of Procedure 1798.90.55 from last year, 2025, says, notwithstanding any other law or regulation, a public agency that operates or intends to operate an ALPR system, automatic license plate reading system, which I believe is what flock is. We've been told it catches the camera of the vehicle, the camera catches the vehicle as it passes it and collects its license plate. Shall provide an opportunity for public comment at a regular scheduled public meeting of the governing body of the public agency before implementing the program. A public agency shall not sell, share, or transfer ALPR information except to another public agency and only as otherwise permitted by law. For purpose of this section, the provision of data hosting or towing services should not be considered for the sale, sharing, or transferring of ALPR information. I know this subject was put onto the consent agenda, but placing something onto the consent agenda is intentionally, in my opinion, removing it from public comment. Most of the public is not aware of what a consent agenda is, and the county itself says that these are routine decisions that are being made by the county. I don't believe flock is going to be a routine subject like we've already been seeing. So first, I would look at the California law. Another big issue with the flock system, it is reactive. It is not proactive. It is not going to stop crime. It's going to act after the crime has been committed. When that information is taken and stored by law enforcement, if you're the one that's been accused of the crime, can you call flock and say, hey, they got it wrong. Please give me all the information of where my vehicle traveled in that time. You're not going to get it. I've already experienced this because of my business. When you go to look for information that they collect, it's really, really hard to get it. So we're putting up a veil that we cannot, or a curtain that we can't get through, a wall, whatever you want to say it. The system is supposed to be for license plate readers, but then we're told you can go in and look at make, model, color, direction of travel. Well, how many cars do we have on the vehicle or out on the streets that are the same make, model, typical age? Well, how does law enforcement then decide, okay, is this the person I look at or is this not the person I look at it? And we've already have examples of this happening where law enforcement goes, and I've dealt with this personally. I've had fake identifications provided. I had one case out of Vallejo where Vallejo PD was given a fake name and they went along with it, didn't ask for ID. Vallejo PD told our probation department, hey, your probationer just got arrested for this. And our probation department didn't do its due diligence, didn't say, hey, is this the right person? Did they get this right? They said, no, it's Vallejo PD. We're going to go with it. And they actually moved to file violation charges against this person. Thankfully, I was able to get involved. Within a couple of weeks, I had to straighten out with the original investigating officer. So you are creating an environment for abuse, for our community to be possibly be victimized by this new data. Law enforcement is supposed to be proactive. It's supposed to protect the citizens from possible abuse, not open them up to it, and then later on say, "Oh, sorry, I apologize that happened to you." It's within the realm of or margin of error. There's no watchdog. There's nobody watching this. This is a private firm. There's no government oversight. There's no one preventing them from doing anything. While the sheriff can say, "Oh, they say 30 days," we don't know. Unless you're going to go there, look at their database and make sure that it was removed, we have absolutely no idea. And the sheriff himself admitted they do not understand this technology. They go to Flock itself, and Flock says, "Trust us. You can believe us. You can go along with what we say." And the sheriff tells us we should do that. I disagree. That's not his position. That's not his place. And as the sheriff said, this is what he wants. And this is what he is going to do. He has a community he serves that he needs to listen to. And while he might think it's the best option for him, the community might disagree. And that doesn't mean we should be enemies. It's just merely how we want to live as in a free society. Able to access by outside agencies. We have no control. We're placing all the trust in the government. And that's not say anything bad about them or they have any ill intent. It's our duty as a community, as the citizens, to say that's a little bit too much power. And if you're going to have this much power, we should at least have a citizen review board that can look every month or every 3 months and say, okay, how's the agency access this information? What have they done with it? That's transparency. That makes sure it's being used for the right purpose. One camera in one location, yes. 10 cameras, 10 locations, that tells a different story. Now I can say you turn left here, turn right here. I can track your every single movements. I've been illustrating COVID when we were all deciding to still go to church, still visit our friends and family. While the sheriff might not use it, there's a private firm with all this database that the federal government could go into, say we're taking it, and now they can use it. And that goes to both party sides. We're all both afraid of who's going to use what information against us. It's information that they would not have unless the sheriff said, okay, come into our community and you can collect it. The sheriff department presents that he's in control. He's not in control because he doesn't own it, possess it, or have it in his, under his domain. He has no, he's just saying a subscription service. Yes, we're going to take the subscription service. I'll wrap it up as fast as I can. But we're all getting into the subscription service and we didn't get to say. So anyways, I have a lot more I could go into, but I believe that this should be at least taken off. If this was done appropriately, the community should be made whole. The camera should be brought down. We should have this conversation appropriately and then decide as a community how we want to move forward. Thank you.
Right. Let's make sure everybody gets a one chance, Rox.
February 12th, 2025.
I'm sorry.
February 25th, 2025.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Haven't seen you in a long time.
Hey, hi, Brian. Yeah, I've been kind of hermitizing. How are you, Pat?
I'm fine.
Good to see you. Carla Bowers. To me, this flock camera situation is really, when you look at a bigger picture, it's a technology issue, right? In the big picture, it's a technology thing. So for me, I ask, how much technology are we going to allow in our little lovely rural county? Some tech is okay, some is good, but too much is not good, okay? Flock LPR cameras are tracking and surveillance devices, they truly are, which I don't like. So they track cars and trucks, but that's also tracking us who own the cars and trucks, right? It's an indirect way of tracking us personally. They are an invasion of privacy and civil liberties, even if they help law enforcement. So this is a real balancing act here. How much of our freedom and privacy are we willing to give up for the safety benefit, right? That's really the bottom line. Flock LPL cameras store data in the cloud, even if for a limited time, and we really don't even know that. Not really. The cloud is the data centers. That's what the cloud is. They can be hacked and the info misused and abused worldwide. We have no control whatsoever. So, also, how do we really know the data is discarded after 30 days with AI running the show? What happens during those 30 days? Where does the data go? Maybe it doesn't just stay on that one server at Flock. Maybe it's all over the world already in 30 days. So, the county has already installed, I guess it was 8 or 10 Flock cams. Is that going to be it? I'd like to see them gone personally, I would. What's to stop the installation of facial recognition and other biometric cameras in the future? How do we know that these supposed cameras aren't already wired for facial recognition and biometrics? Shouldn't the county have guardrails and ordinances in place to limit and or ban these devices? And to closely monitor where, how, and with whom the Flock LPR camera data is really being used and shared? We really don't know these things. This is a slippery slope for sure. I don't want us to become like China with social credit scoring, mass surveillance, and more government controls. Just this little piece that we're talking about this morning is a little opening for much bigger issues. Other technologies are being rolled out that I think will infringe on all of our privacy and freedoms as well, like digital IDs, digital programmable money, the elimination of cash, and massive data centers that are collecting all of our personal data via surveillance systems through cell towers, our phones, computers, and cameras. Due diligence and ordinances must be in place on a county level to protect our U.S. constitutional rights from overreaching technology and to keep some analog systems alive. This is stuff, food for thought for everyone. Let's not let technology rule us. We need to rule technology. We need moderation, balance, and discernment to keep some boundaries with technology. I'd like to see this board prioritize keeping Amador County as sovereign as possible and to keep its residents' freedoms, choices, and consent intact. Protect our rural way of life, protect our privacy. That's why most of us are here in the first place. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you, Carla. Anyone else? Any Zoomers?
Not at this time.
All right, last chance. All right, we'll bring it back to the board. Pleasure of the board. A lot of information.
Well, I was just reading a quote attributed to Benjamin Franklin, and I think it's kind of where we're at right now. I mean, I wouldn't say there's not some good things about those cameras and the information. There probably is. There is. And the quote they have is attributed to Mr. Franklin. Those who would give up essential liberty to purchase a little temporary safety deserve neither liberty nor safety. And I think we're kind of at that crossroads. You look at, Ms. Bowers talked about China. I mean, they have cameras over there, I imagine, for citizen safety. But I know during COVID, they were supposedly welding people in some of their buildings they couldn't get out to keep them safe. The government did. And personally, I view government like fire. Fire is a wonderful thing. You use it to make metal objects. You heat it up and you forge it and you keep warm, and fire does all kinds of great stuff, but it can also burn your house down and burn your county down. And I view government the same way. Government is wonderful, but it can also be very bad too. And you look at history, there's a lot of examples out there. And I have some concerns over this flock camera system. Yes, I'd say Sheriff Redmond, I think I should have looked at it closer before. I'm sorry I didn't, but I think we're looking at it closer now, and I'm not saying you can't ever rectify a mistake.
Well, the pleasure of the board means you want to find out what direction we want to go, isn't that correct? So I think we can all say that we probably shouldn't have had it on consent at the time.
Yeah. Well, it's going to be renewed in February of
27.
27. So,
And you are working on a new list of safeguards as this evolves, if I heard you right? So it would seem to me that February 27 is not that far away. That if we could see your updated safeguards and make it an agendized item before we have the renewal, would have some people wouldn't be a snap decision either way. We'd have a measured look at the concerns and whether the benefit outweighs the civil liberties. And they asked Sheriff, I think it was Supervisor Epperson, to have a chart of how many stops there were and how many arrests were made. Is that information that would be available when this comes up? Or I don't even know what I'm looking for. I'm just trying to find something that could make everybody go, okay, well, we'll figure
So
it out.
I think what you're trying to ask is, from what Supervisor Epperson said, if we can give some more detail on the benefits of what cases are we solving, and absolutely. Like I said, this is still new. We have pending cases. And to answer your question, the policies are, our entire policy manual for both operations and custody are posted on our website. That is by law. So people have access to all of our policies. As we update them, then we update our website. There was a question raised by Rux that they don't get to know discipline. You're absolutely right. It's called the state law. It is the law that governs whether I can disclose discipline of a peace officer Bill of Rights. So that's why the public isn't part of that process.
All right, thank you for that clarification. So, does that seem like a reasonable?
So this is gonna be on the regular agenda in February, and we'll have a discussion.
Probably in January, it could be December, January, because it's up in February. Does that seem reasonable? I mean, I'm looking
however
for
you
some
want,
help.
or we could do approval and the conversation all at the same time. However you would like.
In January, you mean?
Yeah,
In January, whenever renewal is coming back,
to make sure it's an agendized item.
and put it on regular agenda.
Yeah, I guess question for Mr. Chalot, could we have a, action on this item today?
The agenda says discussion and possible action. There could be.
Oh, it
It's
says
not
pleasure of the board.
Okay. I could just see possible action, yeah, it does at the top, I was looking at. My mistake. If this was canceled, we still have to pay the, full contract? You know, off the top of your head?
I don't know off the top.
Okay. I think one concern I have is looking at whether to justify it or legitimize it or not. I think it's still, the question is, it's the camel's nose into the tent. And goes here, and then farther and farther, and we can do this, we can do that. I mean, if we're gonna do this, we should probably have a flock camera up at everybody's office so we know when everybody's in their office and when they're not working or not. How far do you take it? Should we have one outside this building? Outside the sheriff's office, DA's office? I mean, it's all information, it's good information. Outside everybody's homes, so we know when they left their home and when they didn't. I mean,
So you want more deputies instead of the cameras?
Well,
Tell me how we're
we're
gonna
having
pay for
funding
that.
issues, but I'd rather put the money towards that than I would cameras, yeah.
Okay,
So I think I'll make a motion that we, cancel the flock, contract. I think it's the camel's nose in the tent.
we got it. We know about the camel. Is there a second?
I think I'd second that.
All right. We have a motion, and a second to cancel the flock contract as of today? Or,
Well, within the next week. That work?
all right,
Gives us time to work through the details.
okay. Call for the question. I think we've had public comment on it. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All against signify by saying no.
No.
No. Motion fails. 2-3. All right, so we're back to,
Make a motion that we agendize it in January, look at the contract then, review all the appropriate documents and have the public hearing.
I'll second that.
all right. We have do you have something, Craig?
When you said public hearing, you just meant regular agenda, not
Regular
newspaper
agenda.
notice?
Whatever the law requires. I think a public hearing in this case might be warranted. I mean, it's a little bit, it's a bigger topic, it's more time, et cetera. I get it. If that's agreeable to staff and to our sheriff, I'd appreciate that.
It's just it just goes in the newspaper, so it's the cost of putting it in the newspaper.
I mean, I think it's a larger issue. People are obviously other concerns. I mean,
We could put it in as a time certain versus having to advertise it as a public hearing.
that'd be fine. That's fine. I mean, I just think of,
Yeah, let's do it time certain,
okay, very good. I'm agreeable with that.
so everybody knows they.
Little discussion on that. I mean, basically, you know, something's always surprised me is how much, lack of attention or knowledge people have what's going on. And I don't know if I guess maybe not, you might have, maybe in the electronic world didn't know, but a lot of times things happen at this board and people are like, I didn't know that was going on. And that's probably where being a newspaper or on electronic media is probably a good thing people know.
I mean, I think of, you know, my daily life, I'm on camera probably 5-10 times a day, gas station, bank, et cetera, grocery store. I mean, and they do use facial recognition. They're tracking my sales. I mean, my license plate being passively read and then looked at if I did something bad, I mean, or was accused. I mean, I'm kind of there.
I'd say the distinction there is it's a private standalone camera owned by many different people. Can it be accessed by law enforcement? Yes.
Yeah.
But one is where it's controlled basically by one company and it can be basically kind of controlled by government. That's, I think, the difference.
That's a robust conversation needs to be had. I'd also suggest too that driving is not a right, it's a privilege. We have rights that are rights and privileges that are privileges, and yeah.
Motion by
Yes, sir.
Supervisor Epperson, a second by Supervisor Brown to agendize the item at the end of the contract.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. I want to thank you all for your input.
Yes, thank you very much.
And we got public hearings and we're supposed to start at 10:30. We're going to take a quick 10-minute break and then we will start. Sheriff and your staff, thank you for your Order. We got Dan, okay. Yeah, good. Yeah, the crowd's gonna clear.
Oh, man, oh, man.
Here he comes. Jeff went looking for you back there. All right, we'll come back into session. It's public hearing time. Thank you all for your patience. Rather robust discussion this morning. So 4A is the Planning Department public hearing to consider the permanent extension of expanded hours of the operation for Jackson Valley Quarry. There's more information, but I'm sure Chuck will go through that. With that, we'll open the public hearing.
Good morning, Chuck Beatty with the Planning Department.
Good morning.
2 years ago, in January of 2024, the board approved an amendment to Jackson Valley Quarry's, Jackson Valley Quarry's use permit to allow extended hours of operation. Under the original use permit, they were allowed to operate from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Friday, and the amendment allowed extended hours from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. From April 1st to October 31st. And 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. from November 1st through March 31. Those were granted for a 2-year period with a variety of additional conditions of approval, all related to reduction of sound attenuation from the quarry. The 2-year clock started once they notified us that those sound attenuation conditions had been met, and that was in August of 2024, late August of 2024. So that's why we're here now why they're here asking for those amended hours of operations to be continued permanently. When the board approved those 2 years ago, one of the additional conditions of approval said that prior to the expiration of those amended conditions for extended hours, there would be a public hearing to review compliance from the operator, as well as to take public comments. So when we scheduled the public hearing for the extended hours of operation 2 years ago, we did a notification area 1 mile from the quarry. We did that again for today's public hearing. The planning department has received no complaints of noise from Jackson Valley Quarry since the commencement of the extended hours of operation in, I think, October of 2024.
Okay. Their compliance has been, from your point of view.
Yes, we did a visual inspection on the noise attenuation curtains that were installed on the screen decks, as well as the backup tonal devices that used to be on the loaders that did the beep, 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 were now the kind of gravel scratching sound that you hear on the Amazon trucks all the time, but those have been installed. Be happy to answer any questions or questions from the public if we have public comment.
Any questions, Supervisor?
No, I'm pretty caught up.
Any public comment on this issue? Yes, please. Come pitch your case, let's hear it.
Yes. I didn't know, wasn't sure if we were part of the public. It's been a couple years since I've been up here. My name's Tom Farrell. I work for Reed Family Companies, which is basically the same company as George Reed. Got 2 new board members. I wanted to introduce myself. So good to meet you. Also, Corey Turney's here. He's the operations manager that's actually in charge of this facility. I'm not going to say much more. We've asked Jordan Main from Compass Land Group to give you a slight presentation to remind everybody about the requirements that we had to install, noise curtains, things like that, all the things we had to do after we got the approval to work till 9 p.m. He's going to give a short presentation, and if you have any questions after that, we'll be available.
Okay.
Okay?
Fine.
Also, for the record, I met with one of George Reed's fellows. It was Corey. So, and we just discussed the Corey a little bit.
It is well. Yeah, about Corey. Yeah.
Good morning, Chair and members of the board. As Tom mentioned, I'm Jordan Main. I'm a land use consultant, and I've been helping Reed family companies for the last few years at Jackson Valley Quarry, and I was here at the 2024 hearing. So we have a very brief presentation, as Tom mentioned, just to revisit where we started and to get into a little more detail about the installation of the noise control measures and monitoring that Chuck had described. I think we've already introduced ourselves, so we could go to the next slide. I'm just going to cover the previously approved project, the implementation of those noise reduction measures, kind of what they consisted of, and then the monitoring and compliance done by a third party after the installation. So as Chuck mentioned, the original permit approval was 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. And from the time of original permit approval through to the present day, there's been quite a shift in the demand for off-peak construction activities driven primarily by Caltrans and local public works contracts that routinely require, for example, paving at night to reduce the congestion on local traffic. So with that, George Reed requested an amendment to address not only the shifting contract demands, but also to achieve parity with other local producers that have the ability to run extended hours. The original request was for 24 hours a day operation. That through multiple meetings with the TAC, public comment, planning commission hearing, and a board meeting was revised down to what we see for the amended approval, which is 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. during the peak of the construction season, then 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. November to March. And with that, there were a number of limitations placed on the permit even during those operating hours. So things that could not occur outside of the normal 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. And as Chuck mentioned, the Board of Supervisors requested a check-in after 2 years to see how it was going, essentially, and check on the status of compliance with the conditions. The original permit request for 24 hours a day was underwent CEQA. It tiered off of the environmental impact report for the Jackson Valley Quarry expansion. It had a very comprehensive project-specific noise analysis, and even at 24 hours a day, all impacts were found to be less than significant. As a voluntary measure, the company agreed to move forward the noise mitigations that were identified for 24 hours a day, just for the relatively modest revisions to the operating hours that ended up being accepted. The limitations past 6 p.m. that remain are intended to address essentially the noisiest components of the operation, which were when the mining is occurring at the surface. So there's a limitation on mining until it proceeds to a depth of approximately 20 feet below grade, so that there's a high wall blocking and allowing for sound attenuation. The use of excavated mounted hydraulic rock breakers is limited to 6 p.m., as well as the load out of riprap, because that tends to, through the noise analysis, we found that had higher decibel ratings. So that was limited by the board. And those restrictions maintain in the current permit. The site underwent really robust noise control, very state-of-the-art implementation of acoustic curtains. You can see one here, an example at the site that were placed around the crushers and screen decks of the processing plant. And as Chuck mentioned, the backup beeper alarms were replaced with a more tonal broadband type that has a less kind of penetrating noise for surrounding folks. And then there is a requirement for a qualified acoustical consultant to do noise monitoring at 3 and 6 months after the installation of the measures. So if we go to the next round, those events occurred in May and September of 2025 by a third party. And I highlight the conclusions and put in a different font here so it's readable. The key ones that the results showed decibels well below all of the applicable noise standards. There was a conclusion that there was a substantial decrease in the processing area noise levels after the measures were installed, and all conditions of approval were fully satisfied. No additional measures were recommended. So just as a wrap, I won't go through all of the benefits that led to this. I did mention this is an important project for both George Reed and the county to service regional construction demands. The project went through a comprehensive environmental review, implemented those noise measures. Since that time, there hasn't been a single complaint that we're aware of, and there's full compliance with the permit conditions. So we respectfully request that those hours of operation that were previously approved by the Planning Commission and the board be extended.
Supervisors, any questions?
No. Yeah, I talked to Corey about some of the traffic concerns and whatnot, but not specific to this project here.
I've talked to a couple of the neighbors, and they have no problem with it either.
With that, entertain a motion to close the public.
We got one.
Oh.
We got
public.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
There's two of you there.
Go ahead.
You're up.
I haven't been up here for a while. Good morning.
Morning.
Jill Curran. I live at 1000 Cook Road in Ione, District 2. And we are recent owners of a piece of ground across the street on Jackson Valley Road from the quarry, which we have just put back into cattle grazing operations. I haven't had a lot of time to go over this, but I just wanted to ask a couple of questions and have you consider not granting permanent use permit for the extended hours, but maybe going with the 2-year review again. Permanent is permanent. We have a right to live and conduct our farming and ranching operations down there on the Jackson Valley Road and that property, and respect with all the neighbors, and to coexist with the quarry. I think the quarry is a good business. I have friends that work there. I think that they've done a good job of trying to reduce the noise level that was going on there. Our home ranch is 5 miles to the west of this project, this property. And I can tell you at 6:03 a.m., they're loading trucks over there. And I understand that that's within the hours of operation, but it's loud. It does carry, it does have impact on people that live down there. There's a lot of dust that goes on there too. I know that they've tried to do some mitigations for that. Jerry Cassesi always told me when greenstone was being exposed, so was asbestos. And that has always set in my head, and I worry about that. So I really want to be sure that they are staying compliant with the amended conditions of their use permit that was granted 2 years ago. I want to be sure that the dust levels are kept down to a minimum. I also was looking through the amended document, and there are 2 conditions that were to be, let's see, an updated visual screening landscape and vegetation plan for the berm and revegetation required in conditions number 48 and 68. 48 is noise and dust, and 68 is aesthetics. So I don't know who is actually responsible for making sure that they stay compliant with all of the conditions. But as an example, in 68, they are supposed to be planting trees on berms that have a certain level of height and trying to keep it aesthetically pleasing to the rest of the residents down there. They did plant some oak trees on Jackson Valley Road. They then put in a large solar panel project, and I believe the trees are not doing well, and they may need to be taken out. I don't know, but I think that they could put a little more effort into that condition 68. Now that the solar panels are in there, it's kind of changed everything. So who is the person that makes sure that they're being compliant with all of the conditions? Is it the county? Is it Chuck Beatty? Are you the one to make sure that they're compliant? Okay. So if I have a question or concern, I can talk to you specifically. And what is an example of a decibel 65 level? Give me something else that's comparable, that's in everyday life. I didn't mean to stump you. I'm just asking because I don't know what that is, but do you know?
So I don't know off the top of my head, but when we first came 2 years ago, there was a noise report produced that had different examples of
monitors around
common life noise examples that equate to different decibel levels that could likely be referenced as well.
Okay.
Also, I think you could maybe Google it, give some examples to it,
Okay.
not to be rude.
No,
sorry.
I got you. Well, I think we were up here the last time you guys made a presentation, because then I think you were asking for 24-hour operation so that you could stay competitive with, I believe it was Vulcan, who has been granted a 24-hour permit, but I don't think they're even in operation yet. So we were here discussing that then. I will go back and look at my notes about that because we probably were trying to figure that out then. But, so I'm just asking the board to consider staying on a 2-year review and making sure everything stays compliant before you turn this into a permanent thing. I think eventually Jackson Valley Quarry wants to be 24/7 eventually, and that's would be hard to live with. But I just don't want you to make it permanent yet. I think they still need to be reviewed and make sure that they're doing everything that the conditions called for.
Did you say 65 decibels?
Yeah.
Normal talking, restaurant chatter, office hum, or household appliances?
Oh, really? Okay. All right. Well, let's make sure they're compliant. I can hear the quarry easily from my house, although it is open ground between them and us. It is 5 miles, but we know when it's heavy. On another quick request, I would like for you to put on a future agenda talking about the safety issues of the truck traffic at Jackson Valley Road and Highway 88. And I know that's not their responsibility. It's probably Caltrans, but because we live down there and we use that corridor a lot, we can share some insight about the safety issues down
Some
there.
notes on our conversation. I'll address it to John Gedney at ACTC and see if we can't do something there. I also talked to our guys here to see what they could do.
Okay.
I did meet with them a while back, I don't know, a year ago or something, and I had some of the same concerns as far as the asbestos. I mean, I won't speak for them, but what I learned there is they do test the rock continually. And because I was just out there, I'm like, what's that? They're like, oh, that's asbestos, and they encapsulate it and seal it off when they find it. But they do test it before they blast and all that kind of stuff. I do believe
You guys do? Yeah, good, great.
I wanted to make sure that was covered. Yeah, that and the aesthetics, I guess I'll let Chuck address that and maybe them as well. Yeah, those concerns were taken seriously.
I think one suggestion would be to put illuminated signs upper and lower of the intersection that are telling the public trucks are entering the highway and have it be like blinking warning lights. When those trucks come out, and I have hauled hay and grain and 80,000 pounds a lot, and I know what it's like. But the general public who doesn't have any trucking experience comes down 88, flying towards the west, sometimes using the turn lane for Jackson Valley Road as a accelerated lane to pass everybody. It's just not good. And the public doesn't know that those 80,000 pound trucks are pulling out. They're trying to be as safe as they can, but once they get on the road, it takes them a while to build up their momentum, and people just aren't paying attention. So there's a lot of concerns down there about that.
Sure, I know some of the mitigation measures, I know that there was a number of traffic pieces in there too. I'm not sure, I think it's specifically addressed at least one of those.
I know there was a camera up about a month ago that I think was installed there for a couple of weeks, and I don't know, maybe that was Caltrans just checking to see what the intersection was like, but anyway.
Lock camera.
I wasn't gonna say it.
Well, I don't know.
You go there, didn't you?
Didn't have a big F on the side of it. I don't know what it was, but anyway, it was there and then it was gone.
Yeah.
Just a question.
Uh-huh.
You're a business person, and you said that forever is a long time. Every 2 years, having to reapply seems like it's every 2 months. Would you be happy with a 5-year or a 7-year, or maybe extend it without going to forever?
Maybe not this time.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I'm gonna invite you down to my house sometime. I know it's expensive to do it, but it is where we live. And I know this is just a stepping stone to get to more operating hours, and that's hard. It's hard, because we're down there trying to do our business too.
But shouldn't a business be rewarded who's followed all the rules, not to have to do it so often?
Possibly. That's a thought.
Don't be
Thanks,
coy
Pat.
now.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
No, one thing.
I'm here with love, by the way.
Jill, a question for you.
We had another, oh, go ahead, Brian.
They've done a lot of sound dampening effects down there. Would you say the quarry, it's probably doing so much or more production it's done historically?
Right.
Last few years. Is it quieter?
Yes. Before, I mean, I was looking at the curtains that they have installed, which I think is an upgrade from the original ones that were in there. And I do believe that that has changed the sound quite a bit. Yeah. I don't hear the processing that's taking place over there as much as we did in the beginning. And I see that those are tighter, stronger. So I think that they're doing a better job of that for sure, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Yes, sir. Good morning.
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 My name's Chad Johnstone. I live directly next door to the Reed Mining Concern on Highway 88. I've lived there for 9 years. I find the Reed Company and Jackson Valley Quarry to be a great neighbor. Not only do they supply me with rocks, which is no big deal, but when I pointed out to them that water was pooling up on my property and not draining effectively, they brought construction crews out to the property and dug a new trench on my side of the fence and onto their property, straight to the culvert, thus making my property a great deal safer. In the 9 years that I've lived next door to the company, there has been successful noise mitigation. I no longer hear the trucks backing up. I used to hear the crunch of rock. That's what happens when you live next door to a mine. But that too has been mitigated. So I'm here kind of to sing the praises of them. They are not only a good neighbor, but they've become a good friend. So thanks for your time.
All right. Thank you for your input. Any other public comment? Any Zoomers?
No, not at this time.
Okay.
Motion to close the public hearing?
Yes.
Second.
All right, we had a motion by Supervisor Oneto and a second by Supervisor Brown to close the public hearing. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Now for the question.
Well, just a little bit of discussion.
Yeah,
I would say George Reed's worked really hard down there, trying to be good neighbors. I will say, I don't know where Bill May is. I mean, so it must be, you guys must be working pretty hard. Also, I will say, I understand what Joe Curran's saying. Permanent is a long time.
yeah.
And that does concern me in, sometimes leadership changes, companies change. And I think you guys have worked really hard, and I think you have a impetus to work hard because you want to be able to do something, which I get it and I understand it and I agree with it. But I also understand that people live down there and they like a little assurance that you're going to remain good neighbors. It's like our family owns property different places, and we almost never give people a right of way, even friends. Because, hey, this may be the greatest, most nicest neighbor. You give them a right of way across your ground. Maybe they pass away, they get killed in an accident, whatever happens, and they sell it to somebody else. And next thing you know, you got a right of way through your ground with a neighbor from hell. I'm not saying George Reed is going to change their operations or how they do things, but I think the point Ms. Kern brought up about permanent is it's worth the board talking about a little bit.
Are there checks and balances in place if they cease to act in the manner that they are, that no matter how permanent this is, there's some check and balance on that?
Chuck Beatty with the Planning Department again. There are, and I'm assuming you're specifically referring to sound and noise, that, and if there were complaints that they were violating whatever the noise standards are in place at the time, then those can be evaluated, and you don't want to go to revocation of a use permit in a situation like this, but you have that authority to do that if you need to, or to take corrective action so that you don't have to do that.
So it's permanent with conditions?
It's permanent, well, outside of these extended hours, the quarry's permanent under the conditions that were in place up until 2024. And those did include limits on noise.
Can you address the trees we talked about there?
I know that, because I was the one who did it in 2013 or 14, made sure that those berms were in place and had been planted, and I think we looked at that again on somebody's assistance several years after that, but they had all been installed per the conditions that were established at the time, but we'll be happy to look at those again.
Yeah, I would appreciate that. I know I know the mine obviously is going down. When I was up there, we were talking about the depth, and that will definitely reduce the noise. As far as the operations in the pit, I think the noise probably is above the pit. It's probably the bigger issue. I'm not sure if there's any plans to kind of mitigate that further as berming or anything else that would reduce that. I live in Ione. I live between mines everywhere, and I'm always amazed at, I'll hear noise complaints. I can't hear anything from my house at all. I live really close to a couple of them. I can hear every yard of dirt that Rick Kreth ever sold pretty clearly, and every kid that got in trouble in the schoolyard. But the mine itself, if I cross the creek going to Edgebrook, I can pick it up real easy because of the way the sound carries. Sure. And I was just curious if I don't know if there's any other considerations there for the noise at the mine now, or what that looks like going forward. I'm not opposed to the extension per se, but I think maybe I don't know, 2 years might be short, 5 years might be appropriate. I don't know if that's something that's doable. I don't want to make them hop through more hoops, but I also want to make sure that they're taking care of their neighbors, and they take care of them pretty well from what I gather. But I know the sound is going to be a constant thing. It's a mine, so we're going to balance all that.
But those limitations are there. They are in place, and they are perpetual with the permit.
Okay.
Any other supervisor questions?
Any other comments from George Reed and representatives as far as the ongoing mitigation? You hear my concerns, I guess. I hear the public's concerns.
Yeah, absolutely. Jordan Main again. Just, I guess, to comment on a couple of the items, the ongoing monitoring and compliance. There's certainly checks in the permit. We're subject to not only the condition related to noise, there are obviously conditions related to all of the resource categories. I think there are probably 70 conditions, give or take, in the permit that we must comply with. overseen by the planning department. We have to do it's either every 2 years or 3 years. I was gonna check on it. Report by a third-party professional engineer who evaluates compliance with all of the conditions. So there's absolutely a built-in mechanism to ensure that, just like all of the other conditions, which are just as important in many ways, that this one would be adhered to. So I think that's important to know, that this doesn't stand alone on its own, and the minute it gets extended, we can fall off of the radar. It will be one of the conditions that is monitored just like the others. And again, there's some really important ones in there. You mentioned asbestos. There's an asbestos condition. There's traffic-related conditions. All of those are entrusted to the planning department to oversee. We do an annual report to the State Office of Mine Reclamation for ongoing reclamation activities. So there's sort of continuous monitoring and reporting, much of it done by outside parties. And I guess just one other comment with respect to I don't know who made the comment around 2 years comes fast. It's very difficult if there's either a 2-year, even a 5-year type of thing, when the company enters into contractual commitments to supply material. There has to be a certain amount of known for them to enter into these agreements. Otherwise, they have a cloud over them at any given time, and they spend a tremendous amount of money on these improvements we went through. I do consulting work all throughout California for the biggest producers in the state. I've never seen another quarry that has that level of sound mitigation. So that is way above and beyond what is typical or like a best management practice at a normal quarry.
All right. Any other public comment? We'll have discussion. Time for a motion.
I'm just thinking.
Okay.
I feel like this is an unnecessary process with the amount of regulation that they're already under. And they have to staff for these hours, and so if every 2 years, we don't know whether you're gonna have the hours that you have, I think it makes it very challenging to run a business with this hanging over your head. So I would make a motion. Just don't know how exactly to word it. That we approve the, current status of the operating hours that exist now.
Yeah, just extended hours of operation be made permanent,
Mm-hmm.
subject to additional conditions.
Mm-hmm.
I'll second.
All right, we had a motion by Supervisor Carnell, a second by Supervisor Brown to extend the operating hours, no time extended, permanent, with the conditions as they exist today.
With the conditions as they exist today.
All right, we'll call for the question. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Thank you, gentlemen, for your input. Keep up the good work. All right, we have a public hearing. Make sure I get the right one. I'm sorry, turned the wrong page. Bear with me here for a second. Stuck together. All right. 4B is a public hearing on the Meadow Pines project. Conduct the public hearing under the requirements of TEFRA, the IRS Code of 1986. This Chuck again?
Supervisors, so
okay.
I did prepare a staff report in your packet. There may be representatives of the applicant here if they want to address the board. But
All right.
I can go through the staff report if you want.
Does anybody need any?
No, I read through it.
Yeah. We'll open the public hearing.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyone want to comment on this? All right. Seeing none, hearing none, we'll motion to close the public hearing.
So move.
Second.
Right. A motion by Supervisor Brown, a second by Supervisor Cornell to close the public hearing. Now we're going to call for the question. It includes adopting a resolution approving the institution of bonds by CMFA for the benefit of Augusta Communities 2 LLC to provide for the financing of the project, and 3, authorize the chairman to execute the joint exercise powers agreement with the CMFA. Any discussion on that?
Nope, good.
I've had quite a few conversations with Suzanne, and so I'm hoping it's a really good project for this small little mobile home park up there in the buried in the hills. And so their previous owner was not a good gentleman, so I'm hoping we have some better owners now.
Better days ahead.
Yes.
I was hoping somebody would be here, so.
Suzanne's sitting right there.
I was just wondering this is gonna allow for reduced interest rates. Is that gonna allow for reduced costs to the residents, or is that, yeah, okay.
Good morning, I'm Suzanne Taylor with Augusta Communities. I'm the executive director. When you purchase a property that's basically on market, you have to compete with all buyers. So we're paying fair market value for this, and our lower interest rates for this project let us outcompete a bit. The other thing that the nonprofit brings to the table is the ability to have lower taxes related to that. And those two things combined allows us to compete with the for-profit world. And in this case, the property owner did come to us asking for a nonprofit to watch over the community, which I would like to share because it's kind of important to know, and then chose us, and we will be good stewards. Does that mean we'll never raise rents? No.
Oh, no.
Yeah. There's a lot of costs in all your businesses that have gone up, and your personal lives, and we experience those on the community level as well. But we have 30 years of experience in doing so, and we're still standing and growing. So I think that says a lot. Any other questions?
No, we just have a constant housing shortage and costs, or we have a lot of low-income people that are always, needing.
Well, we'd love to work with you. We'd love to work with any of the housing agencies. I know there's an active Veterans Association here that would like to help place new homes in our communities. We have vacant lots, then we will work with them on putting homes at our cost available to their constituents and your constituents as well. So if there's any kind of partnership we can enter into, we'd love to do that. We do have availability of spaces, to prepare those. You generally, check out the electrical pedestals. You may make some upgrades. You bring in a new home, put awnings in, and then insure it. We just charge for our administrative work. There's no profit above that. So we're very, 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 very competitive in our housing costs.
So you're a nonprofit, but you do make profit though, correct?
No, we do not make a profit. What happens is we get paid an administrative fee, and anything beyond our debt and our expenses, which are, our payroll is part of that expense, returns back to our mission. It does not get distributed to any outside investors.
Okay. What percent of your, gross income goes towards your administrative expenses?
I should know that. I don't want to quote myself. It's low. Yes. I can get back.
Approximately.
I should know that, but I don't.
Yeah, I mean, how many units does the communities own across the United States or manage?
We're in California right now, mostly in Southern and Central California, and we're going this direction. We have 1,590 spaces that we manage or mostly own, and 3,800 residents. 2 of those communities are owned by the city of La Habra, and we operate it on their behalf. So we already have partnerships with other jurisdictions. We also do some consulting in this area. There'll be 50 spaces here. We also have a project out in Sonora that we're working on. Of those 50 spaces, 32 of them will have covenants on them for affordability, and occupancy.
So in general, your intention is to produce more low-income housing? I mean, is
Well,
that
it is a
more what you-
preservation project to
more
begin with,
preservation?
because we're gonna be preserving, the current residents who live there, their housing at affordable housing costs to the greatest extent possible. And then there's vacant spaces, so we'll be, over time, bringing in more homes, but that does take capital. So it'll take a while for cash flow to get going, because again, our debt service is sized to market rate. And, but I can tell you that there's only one other park that we currently own that has lower occupancy, and that's because we're pulling out very old homes that are, health and safety issues. All our other parks are 100% occupied. And have been for almost 30 years, since we've owned most of those a long time. And our occupancy by lower income households, and that includes extremely low, very low, and low, is usually upwards of 87%. Some parks it's 95, so. The new homes that come in will be subject to the same, right now, we have 50 spaces, occupancy is lower, but those covenants encompass all spaces, whether vacant or not. Would you like to know anything else about what we do? No? But I'm gonna go memorize that percentage and get back. Who was it that asked me?
Yeah,
I'll go memorize it, I'll get back with you today.
I'm just curious.
Yeah. I'll probably get back to you in the next 10 minutes, I'll text you.
Okay. Any Zoomers?
No, not at this time.
Right. I would entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
We already closed it.
Okay. Ready for the question?
Yes.
Thank you.
I'll make a motion for the bond issuance of Meadow Pines project, conditions 1 through 3.
Second?
Supervisor Brown, you were the second?
Yes.
Okay, you're on my bad side again. All right, we have a motion and a second to adopt the Meadow Pines project, conditions 1 through 3. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. We're on to 4C, Civitas, the public hearing on consideration of a recommendation to approve zone change from PD Plan Development Multi to PD Plan Development Single Family Residential.
Hi, Krista Roussel with the Planning Department.
We'll open the public hearing. Go ahead.
Right, so this was a parcel map application that was approved by the Planning Commission, and so this zone change is following up on that approval. And the parcel map is contingent on the approval of the zone change. Essentially, this was previously a larger development, was it the Thunder Mountain Lodge site that was a significantly higher number of lots that has, that map did expire, so this is a resubmission on that site. There are 2 existing parcels that total 2.35 acres, and it's splitting them up into 10 parcels, and 1 would be a clubhouse. So this zone change is just, I guess, showing that transition from those larger, smaller, more numerous lots to the larger single-family lots. And the Planning Commission did approve the map with an exemption under the consistency findings with the previous Kirkwood specific plan, because the original map was approved, and this is just a reduced project, so it was found consistent through that.
So this went through TriTac also?
Yes, yeah, it went through TriTac, let's see, it was in March earlier this year, and then it went to the county tech in March as well, and in April, and then the planning commission approved it. I believe it was last month.
Now, the one thing that's always a problem up there is parking has, you know, as far as garages and, or places for people to park, was that, I didn't really see anything in this as far, I mean, this is just dividing the property.
Right.
But does the property have enough, room to allow parking and, you know, that kind of stuff?
Yeah, the parking and the snow storage were evaluated by TriTac, and they
Okay.
found that the proposed map was consistent and showed adequate accommodations for both.
The snow storage up there has become a real problem, especially during some of our crazy storms.
I actually reached out to the group yesterday. I called them up and just asked them a few questions, and they seemed to satisfy my concerns. Largely, they are required to build employee housing, but they're satisfying that at the lodge, and everything else seems to be in order. It's the lot's also right across from the corp yard too. Looks like, what I can tell, it's a pretty rough looking piece of property. I think it'll be a much better situation once it's built out. I think it's actually enhanced the whole look of the place from what I could tell, and it just looked pretty blighted, yeah. So, yeah.
Was, throughout all these discussions, was there any effort to replace in that small valley because this was zoned commercial, now it's residential, so there's concerns that now there's less places for services and infrastructure in the valley that has very limited space.
I mean, the original zoning was multifamily with commercial, so it's kind of like a mixed use kind of thing. But I mean, this property has sat for a very long time, so, I mean, yeah.
And it's not happening, basically.
Yeah, I mean,
Looks like it.
I know they are building out more, I think, on the Alpine side of things, but.
They do have a parking problem up there, without a doubt.
They just use Highway 88.
Not anymore.
I know.
Highway Patrol is getting very upset about that.
Well, and I think a lot of that was solved with the reservation system that they've implemented. So I don't think in the last few years.
I guess this is the first year, well, I thought this was the first year they went 100% on their reservations or something like that, wasn't it?
It was either this year or last year.
It was easier this year, there was no snow.
Last year or this past winter was the first time.
Right, this past winter.
Not to bring up another sore subject, but they do use their license plate readers so that message with their reservation system, so they know who's parking where. So.
All right. Any comment from the supervisors? We have a Zoomer.
Thank you, Ms. Welker. Please go ahead when ready.
Hi, thank you. Yeah, so I'm a homeowner up in Kirkwood, and I've spoken to a few other homeowners about this. We weren't really aware this was happening. And so, I mean, yeah, there's sort of mixed opinions on this, but I think most of you know some of the context I'm about to say, but yeah, basically, I think that in this zoning change proposal, I feel like there was, in the materials presented, there was some things that were sort of, I don't know, a little glossed over. That the site in question is part of the Timber Creek base area, which, we know is the primary beginner area of the resort. It's close to a lot of parking, and it seems like a lot of pedestrian traffic. And, the current facilities there, there's like a small sort of wooden building and that big temporary tent, so-called temporary tent, which has been there for, almost 20 years now, I think. And, it has the ski school and the cafeteria. And, this was envisioned to have like a multi-use lodge there, right? And as we know, this hasn't been built. But there's only 3 parcels zoned multifamily commercial in that whole Timber Creek area. The temporary tent is on one of them, and then this proposal takes up the other 2. And so I'm really concerned that if we develop these 2 parcels as single family, that we will never have any sort of permanent public facility at Timber Creek, because you've just blocked off any possibility to build that, because the temporary tents, where are you going to put that temporary facility while you build something else? And also the economics of building a single multifamily commercial parcel make even less sense than being able to have a couple of parcels. So while I know nothing has been built there yet, it's it just seems like a really major detriment to the sort of overall development and layout of the community and the skier experience, to never be able to build something at Timber Creek. And it's really, this proposal is also sort of concerning to me, or confusing to me, because there's a lot of undeveloped single-family residential parcels available in the valley, some of which are within a few hundred yards of this proposed site. And so why does this need to be converted to single-family? Obviously, we can't force anyone to build out this envisioned development if the economics don't make sense, and that's why we still don't have a lodge there. But I also question whether, this is going to get rezoned, parceled out into these single-family home lots, and then they're never going to get built either, and then we won't even have the ability to build a larger facility there. Luxury single-family homes in the market on the valley sit there for years, so I'm not really sure why they think this is more economically viable. Condos actually sell really fast, but I guess they're not worth as much. So I just sort of, I have a lot of questions about this, and I think a lot of community members, if they were aware of it, would probably have more questions about it. We would all love for the eyesore of the abandoned foundation to be gone, but I also, I'm concerned about blocking off the ability to ever sort of build out, a proper base at the Timber Creek site. And so, I would sort of hope, that this would stay zoned as multifamily, but at the very least, I don't know if there is a way to zone it that wouldn't, I guess I don't have a lot of faith in developers in Kirkwood, but, when they don't end up developing it either and they sell it off, that, it could possibly be zoned, something that leaves it open to multifamily development. Those are my thoughts. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Another one?
Thank you. Caller, if you could please state your name for the record and go ahead when ready.
Hi there. My name is John Maney. I'm calling with Presidio Bay Ventures, so we're actually the development manager of Civitas Development. I'm joined in this room, our conference room, Redwood, with my colleagues Tucker Marshall, who is my design and construction counterpart, and then Matthew Berglund, who heads up our entire design division. So first of all, thank you to the board and everyone for meeting with us today. I wanted to first start by introducing ourselves. I think Caitlin actually raises some really valid concerns, and so I do want to take a moment to address some of those comments. And I'll start just by noting that, so we initially acquired this site at 33441 Kirkwood Meadow Drive back in 2021. At the time that we acquired the site, there were no entitlements associated, there were no approvals associated. So the larger scale mixed-use project that was originally approved was approved, I believe, dating back to about 2006, and those entitlements had long since expired by several years by the time we took ownership of the site. We've spent the past 5 years studying several sort of approaches to this site, ranging from larger mixed-use projects, more similar to what was originally approved, over a decade ago, to the smaller scale. We've done so in close communication with the Kirkwood Community Association, so the HOA that oversees all of the Kirkwood area. So we've been dating back again to sort of 2021 when we acquired the site, have been very sort of open and actively communicating with the KCA about our intention for the site, including meeting with the KCA's design review board or development review board, and other, executive members in terms of our intent to develop at this site. We've also been working very closely with Vail to identify whether there's a path for us to partner with Vail to maybe do something that is, more aligned with a commercial project that maybe fits some of the needs of Vail. And ultimately that that never materialized or was never feasible. The only path that we've seen forward at this point, or the most feasible that we've seen, that we see at this point, is what we're proposing, which is currently to subdivide the site into 10 lots. This has already been outlined, but 9 of those are for single-family homes. And then there's a common area lot that includes a common lodge for the homeowners, as well as parking and snow storage, and also to change the zoning to single-family. So we believe that this is the best path to actually seeing development at this site after it's remained undeveloped for decades. And we look forward to continuing to work with the county and with the Kirkwood Community Association and Vail to ultimately bring this project forward. So thank you. We're happy to answer any questions.
Do you have any timelines for development?
Yes, so we're currently working with our general contractor. Some of this will hinge on, or rather, I should say, we're currently working with our architect on the development timeline. Some of this will hinge on when the actual vertical entitlements are approved. In an ideal world, we would be able to move through vertical entitlements, assuming we were to get this subdivision map and zoning change approved today, over the course of the next couple of months, and actually be able to start development in the 2027 build season.
Thank you.
Yeah, go ahead.
One question I have is, again, going back to parking, that has been such a huge thing for the Kirkwood area is parking. Are you planning garages or anything else with these build-outs?
Yes, so we're planning garages. We're providing parking for dedicated to the homes, 3 parking stalls plus storage per home, and then ancillary parking at the clubhouse for additional visitors, and the seasonal worker housing that we're providing, which I don't know if we mentioned this. We're providing 3 seasonal worker housing units, which is in compliance with the Kirkwood specific plan in the clubhouse. But there will also be ancillary parking for those services as well.
Yeah, it looks like on the map, it's like all out front. I can't tell if it's covered or not, but it's about 31 spaces if I counted correctly. That's what I looked at.
And it's intended to be covered, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? Nope. All right, we thank you for your input.
Thank you.
Bring it back to any other public comment? Oh.
Good morning, Greg. It's still morning? Yes. Greg Baracco, Foothill Conservancy. I do want to echo a bit of the concerns that Supervisor Carnell and the previous speaker did about, less about the very specifics of this project. I think this is a fairly straightforward single-family residential development. There's nothing particularly objectionable about the specifics of the subdivision, but in terms of the overall land mix and needs of the Kirkwood community, this is something we raised at the Planning Commission level. A couple of the perennial issues with Kirkwood community is the lack of workforce housing, something available as rental units. Do acknowledge that this project does include 3 basically kind of dorm style residences for seasonal workers, and a lack of sort of basic commercial services, basic retail for the Kirkwood community. Both of these absences result in basically people having to either go shopping, down the hill, or live down the hill and commute in from longer distances. That's much more traffic, and adds to the sort of general circulation problems and traffic issues with the site. I know you have to deal with the project in front of you and the particular economics of each developer and each property, but there is, in the current specific plan, a very limited number of properties that have the high-density residential/commercial designation. if this property is going to be switched to low density, I think the county should consider opening up some opportunities on other undeveloped properties to allow higher density residential condos, rental units, more commercial retail. The Kirkwood specific plan at this point is 23 years old. It's getting pretty long in the tooth as far as, you know, the history goes. And so the county should consider looking at the current mix of land uses, available properties, and the needs of the community, and look at updating the available mix of land uses in the specific plan as we move forward. Thank you for your time.
All right. Anyone else? Any more Zoomers? All right, I will entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So move.
Second.
Motion by Supervisor Brown,
Seconded.
by Supervisor Epperson, to close the public hearing. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Now back to the question. Any more discussion, or are we ready for a motion?
I share Mr. Baracco's concerns, but I also have been driving past that undeveloped lot since I worked there in 1995 or 6, whatever it was. So at some point, we have to allow people to move forward despite the concerns.
So is that a motion?
That's my motion.
That's a,
Go therefore.
All right.
I'll second it. This is Brown.
All right, I got it. I
Yeah.
was watching you guys. You gotta start looking over here. Got a motion by Supervisor Cornell.
That was with the findings 1 through 8.
So
Yeah,
that's the CEQA exemption, the zone change and the findings.
Yes.
Correct. Thank you.
and a second by Supervisor Brown. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Thank you. We're back on 4D. Josie's request to extend contract California Land Conservation Act Contract 341 to add an additional 133 acres to the existing 390 acre preserve. I won't read the APN numbers, but go ahead.
I mean, I.
Open the
you want.
public hearing.
All right, Krista Russo with planning. So this is an existing ag contract for 390 acres, and it's 3 parcels that they are wanting to add to it. So the total would go from 390 acres to 323. There is a zone change incorporated that would apply to those 3 parcels they are adding. They are currently zoned R1A, single family residential. They would be changed to AG, which is exclusive agriculture for Williamson Ag Properties. The Ag Advisory Committee, Planning Commission, Technical Advisory Committee all reviewed this application, no technical objections. It's vacant grazing land primarily with some agricultural improvements.
All right. Any questions?
no, I looked at it, it's fine.
Seem pretty ministerial.
It's good.
Any public comment? No Zoomers?
Not at this time.
All right.
Motion to close public hearing.
Second.
Motion by Supervisor Brown, second by Supervisor Epperson to close the public hearing. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. We're back to the question.
Well, I'd make a motion to, the CEQA is, basically, it meets CEQA requirements, this action, and also approve zone change, and also approve amending the California Land Conservation Contract, Williamson Act, for these parcels.
Second.
With the findings too.
Yes.
All right, we had a motion by Supervisor Neto, a second by Supervisor Carnell to approve the Josie's request for the additional into the 390 preserve of the APNs. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. 4E is consideration of a zoning ordinance amendment, ZOA-25, 9.3 or -3, amending county code sections 1924, blah, 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 to establish permitted and conditional use regulations for agritourism events, promotions, and related activities in the R1A, A, and AG zoning districts. Discussion and possible action. We'll open the public hearing.
Start with planning. So you guys are pretty familiar with this by now. I can just highlight, I guess, the changes that have been reflected in the draft code since the last meeting when you reviewed this in June. In the staff report in the back, I kind of listed it out. So essentially, there are clarifications in farm stay. We did add that for the purposes of this definition, farm stay may only take place within a permitted residential structure. So anything else would be camping or otherwise defined, that would require a use permit. So basically, for the agritourism activities that were listed in the new definition for agritourism, any up to 50 guests would be allowed by right in R1A, A, and AG. Any operations exceeding 50 guests, or I guess, yeah, anybody in excess of 50 guests in any of those three districts for those listed uses could apply for a ministerial over-the-counter permit with planning. And then if the lot in question is an acre or smaller, or if there's substandard infrastructure or public road or lack of public road access or something, then that would require a planning commission discretionary use permit. Additionally, any related overnight stay, that's not a farm stay, but that would be like camping or something like that, as well as like those more intensive uses such as arenas or horse shows, weddings, those would also require a conditional use permit from the planning commission. So that's pretty much the only changes since June. Happy to answer questions if you guys have anything else.
I do have one question, and it revolves around, do we have a clear definition of glamping? Glamping, I know it's a commonly used. I was looking up definitions, and I did not get a very clear definition. My understanding, which may not be accurate, but I would like it to become accurate, would be glamping as defined as kind of show up and stay kind of thing. Like most glamping it's a permanent, it can be a mobile home, something like that too, but it's already established. It's not something you're pulling in and out, it's just there. And typically glamping is you show up your suitcase and you enjoy whatever's going on. Similar to a hotel stay, it's just more rustic. Having glamped a time or two, typically it's, it can be a yurt or canvas walled tent, those kinds of things, or a mobile home, but it's something that's already there, not something that's being towed in and out or moved around. It's just a stationary place to stay and with amenities. But I just want to make sure that it's not RV camping or camping, it's just glamping, and with a definition of what that stands for, I guess. Not to belabor the point, but I think it's important.
So I mean, I can say the way that it is currently in code, anybody staying overnight in any sort of facility, whether it be a permanent, like a facility on site or an RV, is considered camping. So unless it's in a dwelling. So whether or not they have RV hookups or anything, it's not currently defined.
Right.
In this situation, like there's a lot of kind of broad interpretations of what people determine glamping versus camping.
Correct. That's why I want to give it a definition so we're clear, so it's enforceable and that we're on the same page with everybody.
So are you thinking not allowing one or the other?
Well,
Because the way it is, people would apply for a specific use permit and they would be able to set those parameters.
It's under 2.3, and yeah, it just says farm stays, guest ranches, dude ranches, and glamping. And that's what I want to keep it in line with that. So like you're showing up and staying in a stationary place. Does that make sense? as opposed to you're not farm staying, guest ranching, dude ranching, pulling up your RV and you're camping essentially. I want to make sure that we're defining this as such, just for future reference. So that, again, it's just it can be permanent or semi-permanent, but it's placed there by the owner, not the guest. I'm trying not to split hairs, but I think it needs to be. So that's my humble opinion.
Leave that to the board to use to discuss.
I'm just saying.
If you guys tell me to put it in, I will.
You see, I'm very passionate about this now.
Glamping had to do with, like, have to have breechies and it's a specific type of clothing.
No, just the object you're staying in, that's all I'm concerned about. I'm just thinking about future reference. I mean, you could say you're glamping if you're RVing, you bring in a bunch of vehicles. I'm just saying if it's glamping, it's just there, you're jumping in, you're staying in, you're leaving, that kind of thing.
Any of this would require a use permit, correct? Other than staying in the house that currently exists.
Yeah, as
It's
proposed,
all-
that's correct.
No matter how we define glamping,
Okay.
It goes into use permit, I think.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
Camping, glamping, anything currently in the current draft would require a use permit. That would go before planning commission, and then we would require that the applicant specify, and then what they're proposing, where people would be staying, what the sort of amenities that would be offered.
Got it.
And then, like in the case of them putting in permanent fixtures, like if they're hookups or something, or if there's, septic requirements or something, that would be required to be part of whatever their use permit is. As far as the application, we would run it by all the departments for their permits and everything.
Okay, fair enough. That was my only concern.
Okay, any public comment on this?
Hello again, Craig Baracco, Federal Conservancy. Happy to have the opportunity to speak on this, the 17th public hearing on this particular ordinance.
You might be
I
glamping.
might count, I don't know, I might be off.
Should have glamped here.
I do welcome the amount of discussion and attention to detail we've been showing on this. I think a balance does need to be struck between allowing additional economic activities for agriculture in the county. However, it's can be a Pandora's box that we can open up if we make things too loose or too wide open, can allow for a wide range of uses in inappropriate locations. On the sort of glamping versus camping distinction, I think it's frankly more a marketing term or term of art than a land use distinction to be made. I think the interpretation where anything outside basically a stick-built house stays, be it yurt or canvas tent or RV, all requiring a use permit, and then the details outlaid in the use permit process is probably the best way to approach it. The fanciness of the camp or the particular details of the amenities shouldn't determine whether or not the neighbors are noticed, whether proper environmental review is done. There can be depending on the camping setup, there can be different environmental uses impacts to worry about, like septic and water source and the like. So that would be our input there. The two-tiered, or actually a three-tiered system now, where ministerial permits for sort of lower key uses above 50 people, still allowing some review by county staff. The more intense uses receiving the full planning commission review, I think again strikes a good balance between activities. Especially we'll create a whole category of sort of smaller events and activities that local business owners, local ag uses know that they can run without incurring a big permitting process, that farm operations can experiment with U-Pick or farmhouse dinners, things like that. They keep the events relatively small. And they don't have to commit to the full permitting process. So it allows for some experimentation and trial and error for smaller operations. So I think we've come to a good product in the end, and I hope to move forward with it. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other? Yes. I was kind of wondering when you were gonna.
Ryan Kramer. I'm a current agricultural producer in Amador County, and I hope to remain one. And this measure will really help out with that, just having a separate source of income. Don't have a ton to say other than, like Craig, big thumbs up. Hope to see this go forward. It's been a long process, and happy to see it potentially going through. So,
deserve some credit for it, I think.
thank you, appreciate that. Yeah, I felt like I had to talk. I was like, do I say anything? Don't really have much to say, but I got to talk at everyone. I can't leave the last one, hopefully, untalked. So, thank you all. That's it.
All right. Your input's been valuable.
Thank you.
Okay, any other, no Zoomers?
Not at this time.
I entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
Brown, so move.
I'm watching you, I got it. I can read lips.
Carnell, second.
All right.
There you go.
Hey, speaking up a little bit too.
There you go.
All right, we had a motion and a second to close the public hearing. This motion by Supervisor Brown, a second by Supervisor Cornell. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Now we're back for the question.
Yeah, I think I like it overall. Hope it works well. We'll see. So I'll make a motion that we approve the code amendments as proposed. And also it's exempt under CEQA. And findings, what is it, 1 through 3?
I'll second it with reducing the risk of an 18th hearing, so.
Yeah. All right, we had a motion by Supervisor Oneto and a second by Supervisor Epperson for considering the zone ordinance amendment and the CEQA and 1 through 3.
Yeah.
Conditions 1 through 3. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
One thing I will say in a
That
discussion.
was a long road on that one.
It was. One thing I will say in a discussion, when I first got elected, you had the Schofields had their cowboy campfires. And I don't think it was ever permitted. And everybody had a great time and everybody loved it and people came from all over. One of my greatest fears was somebody's gonna complain and then we'd be in the position of putting them out of business or trying to figure out a way to make it survive. So sometimes we got the codes and we're permitting stuff, but sometimes there's a lot of stuff out there and if nobody knows, nobody cares, it's still not a problem, even if it might be outside the code. But this would give people a way to kind of go forward where they can
Yeah.
stay
Well, they
legal.
can we're trying to help them preserve their ag property
Yeah.
with some new and innovative ways to do it. So we are back on our regular agenda. We had a few we hadn't finished.
We're in 3C?
My pages are stuck together. We are on 3C. Thank you, Supervisor Oneto. Amador Resource Conservation District discussion possible action relative to the chairman's signature on letters of support by Central Sierra Healthy Soils and Water Efficiency Grant applicant. There she is. Hi, Amanda.
Thank you for your time and consideration of support of these projects, and also thank you for everybody's commitment to agricultural viability here in Amador County. And I think that the discussions that have been happening are really going in that direction, continue to go in that direction, and I'm proud to hear that moving forward. I'm here today to talk about 3 separate grant applications that are happening in coordination with several resource conservation districts across our region. And when I say region, it's kind of loosely defined Central Sierra region of RCDs from up to Nevada County down to Mariposa County. Our RCD leadership and staff has been meeting and collaborating over the last several years. And in the past, I've come and talked to you all about the Healthy Soils Block Grant that Placer Resource Conservation District received several years ago. Through that, they were able to award $3.2 million of on-farm improvements for healthy soils in our Central Sierra region. And now through through Prop 4 funding and CDFA, we are now applying for 3 grants to bring additional funds to support the Healthy Soils Program, as well as the State Water Efficiency and Enhancement Programs. Both of these programs have been our constituents and ag producers in our region have been significantly underserved and not been competitive or had the resources to apply to the state. And so then now the state is asking local entities to step up and be block ward recipients, and that would allow us to directly award $9.2 million directly in those 8 counties from Nevada County down to Mariposa County, provide technical assistance to provide improvements that include drip irrigation, solar pump, conversion. Sorry, I'm not great at talking into the mic, as well as hedgerows, windbreaks, rangeland seeding, compost application on range, a variety of soil health and water efficiency projects that if participants and ag operations want to, they apply, they can get technical assistance and then be awarded funding to help cover the costs of those. So what the letters of support, there are 3 letters of support. It is the Placer Resource Conservation District who's applying to funding for $4 million to develop a program for cropland support. The Amador RCD is developing a program for rangeland and livestock support for healthy soils practices, and the Slough House Resource Conservation District in Sacramento County is applying for a grant to provide the state water and efficiency and enhancement program. All 3 of those programs would be available throughout the entire region, and we're working collaboratively on that. And the reason why there's 3 separate proposals is because we're working within the bounds of state requirements and mandates under those particular grants. So this is our opportunity to request as much money as we can to try to bridge that gap between our underserved producers through these programs. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
What's a socially disadvantaged farmer?
Yeah, so
have bad personal skills or
Awkward.
I think I was the first guy who called in this morning.
I don't know what was going on there. He got hacked. He might have got hacked.
He might have gotten, I think it was.
The term disadvantaged, socially disadvantaged, vulnerable communities, there's a lot of variations on the state level and federal level of exactly what those definitions are. For this program, we are talking about under-resourced, potentially English is not their separate language, they're a part of a minority group, a beginning farmer, so there's a lot of different definitions that are utilized. The socially disadvantaged component is a state requirement that a certain amount of funding goes to support producers that fall under that category.
Okay, thank you.
Any public comment?
I will say,
We do have,
I'll wait.
okay.
It is afternoon at this point, so good afternoon, Jamie Lebanco, District 5. I just wanted to acknowledge that this past week I reached out to Amanda and we had a great conversation with a local grape grower about the possibility of how some of these funding opportunities might help grape growers that are currently transitioning and or removing vineyards and potentially putting in grazing land and so on and so forth. And it was a wonderful conversation. And I think this is a real opportunity for the ag industry and the wine industry as well to potentially have some assistance, technical assistance and funding for changing out some of their ag land and converting it to other things. So I would encourage you to send these letters of support for them. Thank you.
Any other public comment? No Zoomers?
Not at this time.
All right, I will entertain a motion to close the public hearing. Oh, there's no regular.
Regular one, yeah.
Too many of those.
Well,
Okay,
I'd make a motion to authorize the chairman to send the letters of support, the three.
Second.
okay, we had a motion by Supervisor Onetto, second by Supervisor Epperson to send these letters of support for the Central Sierra Healthy Soils and Water Efficiency Grant. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Thank you, Amanda.
Thank you.
All right, 3D is implementation of mandatory notification program by the Recorder's Office pursuant to Senate Bill 255 and amendment of County Code 3-20-170. We have, hello, ladies.
Good afternoon.
Yes, afternoon.
Kim Grady, Clerk Recorder, and Chief Deputy Clerk Recorder Terry Hurtado. This was a law that came through, you already said it's SB 255, and we are going to be required for every deed, quitclaim deed, mortgage, and deed of trust to send notice to the person of owner of record through the assessor's office at the time of recording, a notice saying that something recorded. So we have to change an ordinance to make sure that an assessor's parcel number is on each of those documents so that then we can send out the notice according to the code. And then we had to come up with how much that is going to cost us to do it. So ran all the numbers and did an average, and it's over $10, but I've decided on $10 to add that to the recording fees of just those 4 types of documents so that we recoup the cost of being able to send out all those messages.
I appreciate the clarification, because it said it's over $10, but you want $10. I was like, that's kind of.
Yeah, well, I don't like adding fees onto
Yeah.
the recording of documents, so I really,
I respect where you're at.
thank you. But I mean, it's gonna be a lot of work, but I don't want that to come out.
One more fee?
Yes.
Do you want to talk about how it's going to affect your operating hours?
Well, time. It'll be a lot of time. Right now, our office closes at 4 so that we can do our end of day balancing and all the necessary things at the end of the day. So we're adding that to it. And when we figured out the time by doing averages and kind of doing mock-ups of it, it's well over an hour just to do 15 documents. So it's gonna affect the office, and of course, after January, Terry's retiring, so we're gonna be down a person, and it'll be interesting, but it's the new law, and so,
When are you thinking of closing now?
no, we're not closing down. We close the door at 4. We're not changing that, no,
okay.
not changing that. We're just saying that we use that hour now
Right.
to complete our day,
You're
and
gonna really use it.
yes, and now this is gonna take more than that amount of time just to do this one job. But
Is this basically so somebody can't come in and put a mortgage or a claim on a house or?
no, unfortunately, because we don't deal with legal sufficiency. We don't do a title chain to see if your document is good. It has to meet recording requirements.
What I mean, this is sending
according to
people
code.
notice that something's going on in case somebody's trying to assert ownership.
Right, yes, that is the intent of it.
It doesn't stop anything.
It doesn't stop anything.
I know how to stop them. Hang a few people. Let's stop.
But it makes them aware that something happened, and the sample letter that's in the package states that if you've recently done a refinance or you've transferred property into a trust, don't worry about it. This is part of the process.
If you've done something, it's okay, but something has occurred.
Yeah.
And we do have our index online from 1991 to yesterday, that anybody at any time can go on and check their name and see if anything has recorded at any time and see what type of document it is. Of course, they have to come into the office to see actually the document, but they can check that at any time. That's free.
Now, if you're doing a document in your own name to you,
We still have to send it.
Send a notice. That's how the law was written.
Well, I guess identity theft, maybe it stops that, I guess. Is that kind of the idea?
No,
No? Okay.
it's after the fact.
Got it.
It makes you aware.
All right, okay.
It's already sailed.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, there's nothing that stops it before it goes on record unless it's not a recordable document. But there are already laws in place that the 99.9% of the documents that get recorded have to have a notary on them. So you've already proved your identity to a notary public. And we think it's gonna actually be a lot more phone calls and questions because they're not gonna understand why they got this. And just because there's a parcel number written on a document doesn't mean they typed it correctly.
That it's the right parcel.
That it's the right parcel number, that the parcel number hasn't changed, that they took an old one. And so it could be notifying people that really aren't anything to do with it, but we're following the law, and so we needed the ordinance changed and the fee to be
See, we don't get rid of the
established.
problem. We don't get rid of the problem. We just make more laws and they go out and do other little stuff.
And make it more expensive to live.
Yeah. Get rid of the problem.
Yeah.
Solve
Our
that.
total fee will be $85 now.
Well,
That's in addition to regular recording fees.
Yes, so I think you're referring to the 75, which is an SB2
Right.
fee that went in. There are exemptions for that, so people can put an exemption on a document and not be charged the SB2 housing fee.
But there's no exemption for this.
There is no exemption for this fee if you are recording that type of document. And both of those fees are on top of regular recording fees, which are 12 for the first page and 3 for each additional page of an 8.5 by 11 document. So I also didn't want the $10 fee to be more than the first page of a document. So I didn't know if you had any questions or,
Nope.
we have lots of questions, but we
Yeah.
have to, we're following the law.
What good does this do to ask you questions if you have questions?
Well, I don't think anybody in the state would answer our.
I don't know that our questions could be answered. So.
All right. No more questions from the supervisors?
Nope.
Public? Any public? We don't have any public left. Oh, we do.
Got two. We're hiding them.
Oh,
You can't
okay.
see them through
They're
us.
there back there.
Yeah. All right. Well, we all love fees.
Yeah.
That's the pleasure of the board.
I'll make a motion that we adopt the resolution, waive the reading of the proposed amendment to the Amador County Code Section 3.20.10, and to schedule the proposed amendment for adoption on the consent agenda for the August 25th, 2026 board meeting.
Second.
All right, we had a motion by Supervisor Epperson, a second by Supervisor Brown. On discussion, when's this go into effect?
January 1st.
Okay.
That's why we're doing it now, because it has to be public for 120 days prior to charging the fee.
Oh, okay, all right. All right, we had a motion and a second. We'll call for the question. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Thank you, ladies.
Good.
Thank you,
Good luck.
gentlemen. Thank
All
you.
right.
Yes.
3E is review and possible approval of the July 28th Board of Supervisors meeting minutes. Any
Motion approved.
questions or,
Move to approve?
Yep.
all right? Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All right. Motion by Supervisor Brown, second by Supervisor Carnell to approve the board meeting minutes for the 28th of July as presented. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. With that, I think that's all the damage we can do for today. Meeting is over.